powerful voices tackling the issues that affect us all. So let's get started with The Source.
Afternoon. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice or seeing my happy little face on YouTube or Facebook, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Listen, I need you all to soak up more, but this is my very last week at WURD radio station for 2020. I am, after this, I'm taking a whole break and doing some things and getting my mojo back and trying to figure out what I'm doing. So I need you all to enjoy me this week, and don't call next week asking where I am. Remember, I told you this is my last week for the year at WURD Radio. So there's a lot going on, and so the 1 o'clock hour is designed for the WURD listeners. There's a couple of things that I want to address and tackle at one time. The first thing is Prince. I need you, if anybody knows where Prince is, I need Prince to call the radio station and leave his contact information for Michael so that I can send it off to Mark Holly and Elijah. Who are they, you say? Elijah was a young man that I interviewed a few days ago with his brother Mark, and the WURD listeners were so amazing. Prince called in and said that he would offer them jobs because the young man is between foster care. He aged out of the foster care system, is in a wonderful charter school that took him in without a social security card or a birth certificate. I can't believe these things are happening in America, but this is America. And so they're having a hard time getting anything done. And so Prince said that he would hire them. So on top of that, the WURD listeners started cash apping them. And I heard from Mark via Instagram on Saturday. He made me absolutely cry. So I just want you all to know something. Every day that I was on this air for the last year, every day when I got on here, it was with the intention to empower, right? And to get us to a place where we move from moaning and groaning to really seeing what we can do to help each other, right? And to grow as leaders. This is not a cult. I am here at your behest. I am here because I want to make sure that what you need and what you want is what you're going to get. So there's so much that I want to discuss in the 1 o'clock hour that I don't even know where to start. But let me start here. I wrote an article for Reverend Joe. All right, Reverend Joe, hold on one second. I'll take you in a second. I wrote an article for the Philadelphia Sunday Sun that I knew was going to ruffle a few feathers. But what I did not realize was the feathers that it ruffled were going to pick up the phone and call me. And so I had quite a few text messages, phone calls from white folks who were just like, thank you. Thank you for opening up our eyes. Thank you for giving us the mirror so that we can see. And it just goes to show that there's a way to write to people that we can absolutely reach them. So for the first time ever, I'm going to read one of my pieces on the air for you. The piece was called With Strings Attached. And thank you, Catherine Hicks, again, because I called her and I said, I need to write this. I need folks to hear this. And she was like, go for it. And when I wrote it and sent it in to be edited, she was like, oh my God. All right, so here we go. The article that I write for the Sunday Sun is called A Lawful Truth, and it says, welcome to A Lawful Truth, where assumptions will be challenged, judgments will be parked at the door, and lessons will spew forth embedded in humor. The opinions expressed here are those of a brave woman who has dared to live her life in a full array of colors with 2 amazing results. Join her for the ride if you dare. So I always write thought-provoking pieces when I write for my A Lawful Truth. The cover story this week is going to be Nafis Norris, and I'm so excited about that, and about another friend of mine who had such a hard time with her employers, and I won't get into that. I'll interview her, wherever I get back on the air. All right, so this piece was called With Strings Attached. I gave some serious thoughts about writing this piece because I am truly clear that there are those who like to dwell in the places of cognitive dissonance, deflection, and just plain old disbelief in order to dismiss the words I am about to write. That said, write them, I must. So let me get the disclaimer out of the way. If this does not apply to you, take the nuggets from it and move forward to help others who may be doing what I am about to describe. If it applies to you, all I can tell you is this: find a quiet space to reflect on your actions and work to be better. There seems to be among us a cadre of well-meaning white allies who surround themselves with people of color in order to make America a better place to live in. These allies, work hard to invite black and brown people into their spaces, ask the hard questions of their peers, and really spend some time trying to look at their biases from the lens of other people for the most part. However, just wanting to be an ally and reading a bunch of books does not solve much. What really helps is fully hearing what is being said to you without forming an opinion, rebuttal, or a rebuke before black and brown folks can articulate what is in their hearts and minds. You say that you hear and understand, yet there is the inevitable but that shows up because some of you just cannot help yourselves. You demand that black and brown people speak up in defense of your feeling wronged on certain issues, but are oftentimes silent while we are consistently traumatized in every way, from education to medical care to just the basic human right to breathe and make mistakes. It seems that for too many of you, being a good ally comes in the form of clucking your tongues in quiet disbelief with deafening silence publicly. The recent presidential elections come to mind. You found it hard to believe, quote unquote, that some Americans embraced hate towards large segments of the population and breathed a sigh of relief when President-elect Joe Biden won, as if that proved your point. Did you see that our very democracy was and continues to be challenged, for example, when the courts were asked to throw out the votes of black and brown people in order to try and overturn what so many stood in long lines for to get their votes counted? Oh, by the way, we are still being shot and killed with impunity by some in law enforcement, while these same white allies remain silent as the inevitable negative stories appear about the victim's background that makes it easier for you, dear ally, to sleep at night. You get to decide, well-meaning white ally, who is chosen to join your groups or affiliations in politics because you have an idea of what is palatable to yourselves and the constituents you're seeking votes from. Being an ally sounds great to you as long as it does not make you question the norms you have embraced, norms which have harmed many while you have benefited. God forbid that you feel the slightest level of discomfort. You, well-meaning ally, ask black and brown folks to join your events, but put those same people on the back burner as an afterthought without recognizing that once again your actions are dismissive. After all, we were invited to join you and that should be affirming enough, right? Wrong. When you are offering an advice, dear white allies, do not coach it in the form of a demand because you are the authority on all things, and we should just be grateful for your input. Stop dismissing our thoughts and lived experiences. You may be reading and listening to all of this and saying to yourselves that none of this applies to you, but it does. Your tone speaks in ways that leaves one experiencing a rage of emotions from exhaustion to disbelief in the minds of black and brown folks who are constantly barraged with changing norms and being abused in a system that takes our massive gifts but continues to be dismissive when we seek what is rightfully ours. We talk a lot about America growing, changing, and acknowledging the plight of others, but look around you. In the year 2020, we are still hearing of organizations who are grappling with having the first person of color sitting amongst them. Black and brown people have gotten the degrees and expertise needed to be in the highest echelons of business and industry, but must unfortunately have to deal with those who are often worried that we may come and take their spots, or worse, expose their inadequacies which are laced with mediocrity. You want to be a good white ally? Take the time to open your ears and let differing opinions marinate, as it is the best way to appeal to a larger cross-section of society. Do you want to be a great one? Use your vast powers and make tangible life changes on behalf of those around you without patting yourselves on the back and expecting those you helped to feel eternally grateful for said help. If life was fair and all, and if all things were considered equal, black and brown folks would advance on their own merit. So then, when you open those blocked doors, stop expecting us to grovel in eternal gratitude for that which should have already been opened for us. Our thanks to you is not to squander the opportunity and to continue to excel. Your lack of expectations from us show up in your words and deeds. Check those assumptions and those tones. We thank you kindly. That was the piece I wrote, and it has garnered so much attention. I expected to hear from black and brown folks because it's what we live every day, and I did. I heard from a lot of black and brown folks, but I also heard from a lot of white folks who were like, thank you for opening our eyes. Thank you for being the mirror to make us see that what we thought was acceptable really wasn't as acceptable. And so to those white folks, thank you. You know, I fully appreciate you know, you're reaching out and letting me know what your thoughts are. Let me take a couple of these calls. Reverend Joe, how are you, sir? Good morning. Good afternoon.
I'm doing fine. Just remember, Miss Andrea, it's not a me, it's a we. We're all in this together, and I want to wish you a prosperous New Year. Now, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but is this your last week period, or just the last week of the year?
It's my last week of the year.
Okay, well, that I feel better. Okay. Well, and to your wonderful producer, a real young gentleman. Okay, always remember, when you can't, God can, and when you won't, God will.
Yes, thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Joseph from Massachusetts, how are you?
How you doing, Andrea?
Medea, how are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I see you invested in the foster care system and helping young kids. I have experience with the foster care as a runaway kid. I live in Covenant House on the 21 on 40th Street, right over. And the number one problem facing a lot of these kids will get their life together when they come out to foster care and live productive. But you've got to we've got to talk about the drug culture that got America in a chokehold. When we 4 to 5% of the world population, but we utilize 60 to 70% of illicit street drugs. This drug problem is coming from on top. There's an incentive. Let me just jump here in Massachusetts. In Boston, there's a place called Methadone Mile on Massachusetts Avenue by the Boston Medical Center. and you got all the methadone clinics. It's hundreds and hundreds of people out there. They're cracking down on them now. But the person I give credit for and has the right formula to fight this drug problem is the U.S. Attorney General of New England, Andrew Leonard. I got to give a big up to him. He's going after the people on top. Because a lot of these police, they're trying to do their job, but they are hamstrung by higher powers, people in the shadow government that makes millions and millions of dollars off of people suffering. But to get back to the foster care, we have runaway kids end up in Covenant House or 42nd Street. And the pimps, the drug dealers, they're waiting for these because they're vulnerable. So until we go on the people who's pushing this drug, we will not solve the problem of homelessness, of drug addiction, where over 80,000 people died last year of overdose. So we have to start with the drug problem. Else we won't help these foster kids like we can help because they're vulnerable. They're looking for guidance. I've been there. I know what I'm talking about. Yes. My excuse was I was an athlete, so I stayed away from drugs. Well, anyway, have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. Take it easy, all right? Bye-bye. Jacob, are you there, darling?
Hey, peace be unto you, sister.
Peace be unto you, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm blessed, man. I'm feeling like the weather out there now. There's sun out and everything, and it's all good. But that was a beautiful letter you wrote, sister. That's what I'm talking about. You like you said, you had white folks get back with you and say,
I was stunned, Jacob. I literally was stunned. The amount of white people that reached out to me and said, thank you for being our mirror. We assume.
Hey, now check this out. Some of us would tell you, sister, don't write no letters to them. We ain't got to prove nothing to them. 400 years, they would go all there, right? Rather than, see, I'm Muslim. And in the Quran, God says to us, I made you different, that you learn one another. And through that letter, see, teaching is a teachable moment. A lot of them don't know the struggle that we had for 400 years. We take it. Some of our own children don't even know the black struggle 400 years that we had, because they act like they don't even know what time it is. You ask them about the Middle Passage or something, what's that? The Underground Railroad, what's that, a new train station? They don't even know.
Right. You're absolutely right, Jacob.
Yeah, we can't expect that all white people, but we have to use things, and we woke today. We're not going back to sleep. I like that Biden thing. When we build back this time, we're going to build back better. And we're going to build back with our portion of the American pie that these white supremacists, 45 being the head of all that, don't want us to do. They would rather go, they would rather say the heck with democracy and the Constitution, long as we don't give these black people anything. So, but the majority of white people in this country is with, nah, we going to do the right thing. And that's what they can't stand. But if they don't like it, sister, I'll be the first. I'll pay the first one's ticket to Russia. Y'all don't like it here? Like Trump said, go back to Russia, because that's what you want. You want a dictator. You want all this stuff that if you want that, you and Trump, all of y'all, go to Russia. And I ain't going to say the other place you can go to because we got a family audience here. Thank you, my sister.
All right, my brother. Take it easy. Peace be unto you, okay? All right, bye-bye. So I know I have Prince on the line. Let me take a quick break, and then we'll be back. Now, the letter that I just wrote was to white allies, the people that actually say they care and want to make a difference on behalf of black and brown people in this country. They're well-meaning. They want to do something, and they're missing the mark in certain areas. So that's the piece that I wrote. When I come back from break, I'm going to talk to you about another side of America that is raising its head in a way that most people don't want to deal with. When I first got on the air a year ago, I said to you all that in 2016, the day after the election, I had an implicit bias training that I had to do. Now, when you hear me talk about these trainings, I never say where the training was. I never name names. I didn't do any of those things because of the very nature of the work. but I can give you certain examples. And in this particular training, there were a bunch of white women, almost 100 of them, and they were sitting there looking really smug. And what they ended up saying to me was, because I'd been working with them for several years, was that they do not want to, they don't want their America to change. They're sick and tired of black and brown people getting jobs that they thought belonged to them. Now, even though they tried to hold them back in schools, the systems, they come out of K-12 and they go to college and they get college degrees and get PhDs in alarming rates. They are alarmed that they've lost their middle America. And this morning on MSNBC, a white gentleman reporter, finally blurted it out and said, okay, this is not about the election. This is not about the economy. This is not even about COVID, even though we're dying at an alarming rate. This is racism, plain and simple. He and another reporter said they have interviewed so many white folks who looked at them in the eye. The one reporter was black and said, I can't believe you even have this job. How could you even possibly get this job? That's why we are where we are today in America. And those folks have raised their heads and are literally trying to start something in this country, and they have in different places. And so I need you all to pay attention. I'm going to address that when I come back from the break. But let me tell you, America is in a really strange place right now. And for those of you who are sitting around thinking that it's much ado about nothing, just hold on a spell here. All right. Want to buy black for the holidays? We have got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holidays marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live from wordradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
At PICO, we know one thing is certain. Times have changed. From kitchen classrooms to couch conference calls, searching for a new job, or new ways to keep your family connected. These changes have become a part of our reality. That's why our teams are working 24/7 to meet the needs of our communities. So no matter how much things change, you can depend on PICO to be there with the energy and help you need to power through. Learn more at pico.com.
America's biopharmaceutical companies are making progress against COVID-19, now with several promising vaccine candidates in phase 3 clinical trials. With an effort to include people from every walk of life, these trials involve tens of thousands of participants. From development to clinical trials and throughout the manufacturing process, these medicines and vaccines are rigorously tested for safety and effectiveness. Go to pharma.org/coronavirus for updates. Because science is how we get back to normal. Paid for by Pharma.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio.
Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
See that, Michael? You were starting to play my theme song all over again. Hi, Prince. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for your contact information. I'm going to send it on over to the two young men because you offered to help them. The older brother reached out to me on Instagram and was just in tears, and he said, thank you so much. I said, listen, just a regular sister trying to help our people in this city. We can't just keep talking and doing absolutely nothing. And so I just want to thank you, my brother, for always stepping in the gap. You know what I'm saying?
You're welcome. And I have a couple of sites that what I'm going to do is teach them how to salt sidewalks, the exterior sidewalks.
Yes.
What's required, how to, use calcium chloride. And where to place it at and the stuff like that. So I'm going to commit a couple sites to them, and they'll get the total revenue from those sites. And just teach them the business. I just think that so many of us see this, and we sit in our houses, and we let these people come in from out of town and perform this task right here. And we make no money, and we give them the green light to just make money and take it. Because you always want to know, well, how does he have that boat? How can he afford that boat? You know, how can he afford that house down the shore? How can he?
Right.
And so we let them have the opportunities, because most in Philadelphia, there are long-term relationships with folks who don't look like us, who look like white folks outside of this temple, and the rest of them have relationships with outside vendors who mirror the executive part of temple, and they got a standing contract, and it's almost a blank check, because as long as you get the work done. And yet you got all these students who travel back and forth from Broad Street who need a job, who are taking Parent Plus loans out to go to this university, and not once did the university say, let me buy the shovel, let me buy the tools, and let me get them a couple of dollars, $25 an hour, $30 an hour, and let them participate in the process.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, man, more than you will ever know. More than you. Thank you for making this a great year. You hear me?
Hey, kudos to you, because what you wrote was powerful. And I want to show you something, if you can write something down real quick. So let's say the police force has 65,000 active members, right? And let's say they have another 3,000 retired members. That's about 9,500. And let's say the firefighters have about 5,000 active members. And let's say they have about another 3,000 retired members. I mean, yeah, so that's about, so we're talking about 17,500 people. That's like 80% of that 17,000 is Republican, right? And so when I put those numbers out, public housing alone got 30,000 residents that are head of household. So that means that the kids in there and other folks are in there, but just the 30,000, and let's say 90% of them are Democrats, right? How do you ever get a David O on city council back in office, living in a majority Democratic area with majority Democrats being a Republican? And so to your message to white people, you have some African-American people who have sold us out down the drain unequivocally. And that's the problem I have, because as much as you fight to make them right, you got somebody that's in the other room talking about, don't listen to her, I can get this done, or don't listen to him, I can get this done. And that's the fundamental problem I had that made me write my book. You should not be in that room negotiating for us without us getting anything at the end of the game. It doesn't make any sense for us to. We got 500 deaths in this city right here. We got a vaccine that's coming that we don't even challenge, that none of us know anything about. We don't know if it's a placebo or not when we get it, or what it is. And I just think that, you've been a blessing, because at least you got comparative facts.
Yes.
Comparative collectiveness. So I'm not going to let you just tell me something unless you have to come. That's why nobody caught up about the book yet. Bring the concrete evidence that I put in my book, then we can go all day long with this right here. Unequivocally, you make a good point, and I think that we should have. There used to be a couple papers. There was the Sunday Sun, and there was the Black Star, and it was there needs to be a word paper. We need to produce a word paper. You know what I mean? And it needs to start in West Philly and go to Southwest Philly. And you know what it needs to have in there? Because when you create a paper, the sheriff's department and other people are forced to advertise in your paper, as a minority paper. So we don't see the gentrification until it happens. But if we had a paper to put in people's doors, inserts, and then Jeff Brown and the rest of them could put coupons in them, it makes no sense for us not to be in the game that way. I'm just saying.
Agreed. I listen, I don't disagree with you in any way, shape, or form. But what I want folks to also see is that through our examples, we're able to help folks. You know what I mean? It's not just about getting on here and fussing and talking, but really stepping up to the plate. And that is what I am so grateful to you and others like you for. Christmas, the holidays, Kwanzaa is around the corner. And as with so much happening with us and to us, we really have to find our hope, because we are a resilient set of people that folks keep trying to bury, and they realize we're really, truly just sprouting as they're trying to bury us. So thank you, my brother.
The last point, and I'm going to leave on this. At any point in time where you don't think that we all need each other, you need to get that thought out of your mind.
Exactly.
Because burning bridges, calling names, trifling over people, that's not cool. That's not even humanistic. And you have no reason to do that, because if you confront somebody, man or woman, as a man or woman, then you should be able to speak your piece. But you should not be able to demigrate and rip somebody down, because you never know that something happened to you and that person are the only eyes on you. You might look at him and want him to help you or want her to help you.
Yep. And so always leave things as whole as possible. Yes, Lord.
And Mike's going to show you something. Amazon, because the book has moved so well, has put a billboard up in the city about the book.
What? You better come on with it.
Yeah. There's a billboard in the city. It didn't cost me anything. It was Amazon courtesy to me. I'm still not getting a royalty check yet, but Mike's going to show you what it looks like. And I think it's somewhere around University City.
Oh, wow. Congratulations, man. The book is riveting.
Thank you so much.
A page turner like a mother.
You have a tremendous day, and I'll hang up and I'll listen.
All right. Bye-bye. So, so much good stuff is happening. Let me just make sure I don't have any other callers right now, because there's some other things that I want to talk to you all. Let me see. Michael and I, we make it. Oh, look at that. Prince is up on a billboard in Philly. PhillyRoulette.com. He's doing well on Amazon. So I'm going to reach out to Mark Holly and his brother and get the information so that they can start to work and earn a decent living to be able to stay in their $900 a month apartment. I want to read something for you. It was an opinion piece written by the New York Times, and I had to laugh. It was written by a white man by the name of Thomas B. Edsel. He contributes a weekly column from Washington, D.C. on politics, demographics, and inequality. His piece says, "America, we have a problem." And when you look and see the picture of all the folks screaming, it was a pro-Trump rally near the U.S. Supreme Court on December 12th. The turbulence that followed the November 3rd election has roiled American politics, demonstrating an ominous vulnerability in our political system. Donald Trump used the 41-day window between the presidential election and December 14th meeting of the Electoral College to hold the country in thrall based on his refusal to acknowledge Joe Biden's victory and his own defeat. Most troubling to those who opposed Trump, and even to some who backed him, was the capitulation by Republicans in the House and Senate. It took 6 weeks from Election Day for Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, to acknowledge on Tuesday, December 14th, that the Electoral College had spoken. Today, he wanted to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden. Trump's refusal to abide by election law was widely viewed as conveying an implicit threat of force. Equally alarming, Trump, with no justification, focused his claims of voter fraud on cities with large African-American populations in big urban counties, including Detroit in Wayne County, Milwaukee in Milwaukee County, Philadelphia in Philadelphia County, and Atlanta in Fulton County. Bob Barr, a senior legal advisor to the Biden campaign, told reporters that the Trump campaign targeting of the African-American community is not subtle. It is extraordinary, before adding, it's quite remarkable how brazen it is. And what we're seeing now is, Roger Stone calling for people to come up with their arms and to shut down the inauguration. And I know we're all laughing and saying to a large extent that this cannot happen in America. But when I am looking at white folks who are seasoned reporters on the air saying things like they have been longtime Republicans, and what they're seeing amongst their families and friends is just such vitriol and hate, I need us to be very aware and be very prepared. Money does not help us. Right? The color of our skins make us targets. There are people who want their America back, whatever that America looks like, and they're willing to walk out here with no masks on. The virus is spreading in such a way. Last week I got on the air because, I'm quite a reader, right? And I love researching things. And I got on here last week and I bit the bullet because I kept saying to myself, no one's really talking about this yet, but I need to let the WURD listeners know. I bit the bullet and told you that there are other strains of this virus, more virulent strains of the virus that's been raising its ugly head. Well, on Saturday, UK, the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, says that not only is this strain more virulent, it's 70% more easily contracted, right? as a Sydney, Australia, just canceled all their holiday flights because they're getting that same strain from people who went to the United Kingdom and came back or tried to go back there. And so we're starting to see that spread. We believe that a part of that strain is right here in America. There are folks who are not testing positive for the COVID-19 virus as it is. Like one of my son's friends that he graduated from college with died suddenly this past weekend, said he wasn't feeling well, went to the hospital, and died, 27. And so we want to make sure that we're paying attention to what's going on out here. On top of that, just in case you think that I am making much ado about nothing, because there's still people who don't believe and understand. The AAA issues a rare advisory, stay home for the holidays. An organization that tracks and promotes travel is advising people not to go anywhere for the Christmas and New Year's holidays because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Jana Tidwell, Management of Government and Public Affairs for AAA Mid-Atlantic, said it is the responsible thing to do because public safety is at stake. Oh, by the way, Jamaica has shut down all their flights to and from the United Kingdom, and I think it's only a matter of time before it shuts down again from anyone coming in and out. Stay at your yard. Over the past 2 decades, never have we seen anything quite like this, she said. Heed the warnings of the Centers for Disease Control and local and state government mitigation efforts and to not travel for the year-end holiday season. That is the best way to keep you and your family safe. Tidwell said, however, in the real world, some are still willing to take the risk. The airlines this past weekend has reported that that over 1 million people traveled each day this weekend, despite the fact that the virus is raging out of control, despite the fact that states are buying all these body bags, despite the fact that even though we have not 1 but 2 vaccines coming out, we still don't know what the long-term side effects of those vaccines are, and the fact that it will be midsummer of 2021 before the regular folks like you and me get it, right? And so we keep asking people. I saw a man the other day take off his mask so he could yawn. I'm like, dude, what the heck? This is why I stay in my house, right? People fighting, a man fighting a woman in the Barnes & Noble. I put that on my Facebook page. You know, it's not a law that he should wear his mask. And he was getting ready to jump on her and beat her up, right? People started recording it, and he was violent. And so you want to figure out, what are we doing here, right? The AAA says there are people who will make that trip for Christmas or New Year's, she said. So those that do, AAA recommends that they do it as safely as possible, taking all the necessary precautions before they hit the road. And just in case you all think I'm just talking and not doing something about it, my youngest son is by himself for the holiday season. His roommates have gone home to their family. He refuses to come to us because he says he had to go out and do some work the other day, and so he cannot say unequivocally that he is not a carrier of the virus. So he's staying where he is, staying put by himself for the holiday. Do you think it wasn't difficult for him to make that decision? Do you think it wasn't difficult for us as his family to say, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? So we're all figuring out ways to call him and to check in on him. His older brother's checking in on him. We're all trying to make sure of what we can do to help him. But traveling is just, if we would all just pay attention and do what is right just for a short period of time, we wouldn't be in a place where now we have another strain of the virus coming out. The people who put out the 2 vaccines are saying they have no reason. Now listen, now words matter, right? They have no reason to believe, quote unquote, that the vaccine that they have out won't also work for this new virulent strain. Only time will tell. AAA says we're talking about a public health issue where people don't want to contract the virus and they don't want to pass it along. Tidwell said that if you do decide to go somewhere out of state, you may face quarantine issues where you're going and when you come back. Many schools require that you let them know if a student has left the state and requires them to quarantine upon return. And many employers are also recommending the same, she said. And so here we are. We are in such a, between COVID, the state of what's going on across this country with people just so angry. Not just, they use the election as their cover for why they're raising up arms and have Roger Stone on the air saying things like, we need to have military rule, and they're giving people signals, and you're starting to see things happen around the country little by little. When you see the main media, mainstream media, telling people what's coming, they see it, they're afraid, you can watch it in their faces. I need you all to pay attention to what's happening in this country between now and Inauguration Day, and even long after that. We're going to see some things happening here. We've got to be better about all of this. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Every day, 47.9 million family caregivers perform labors of love by helping their parents and spouses. Family caregivers help their older loved ones with medications, medical care, meals, bathing, dressing, and much more. While they wouldn't have it any other way, they need some support. AARP has information and online communities to help support caregivers. Learn more at aarp.org/caregiving.
At Champion Dentistry, we want to make sure your smile is as healthy as it is beautiful. Whether you're calling for a routine checkup, calling about a newly developed toothache, or interested in learning about cosmetic dentistry options. Our services include routine checkups, cosmetic dentistry, gum care, laser dentistry, and more. Champion Dentistry is in the Overbrook Farm section of the city, easily reachable by public transportation. Call 215-473-4717 to schedule an appointment today, or visit championdentistry.org, the House of Smiles.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I'm trying to shut something down here and open. Oh, Lord. This is why I'm having such a hard time with these folks. Hold on. Let me shut this down. I want to read an article to you, but it's kind of just sitting in the middle of it. This advertisement is sitting in the middle of the, I'll figure that out. Pennsylvania misses a deadline, and I'm trying to, why can't I get this thing? All right, I'll figure it out. A Jamaican couple to leave Philadelphia church sanctuary after 2 years as government drops deportation case. I am so happy about this. Everybody's been, I got an email from my buddy from Florida about it. When they had a live streaming live this morning talking about it, I was tagged in it because I highlighted them on the show. And I'm so excited. It was written by Jeff Gamage, Philadelphia Inquirer. And quite frankly, right after we highlighted them on this show was when they began getting the kind of traction in mainstream media, which was really, really cool. An undocumented Jamaican couple who have spent more than 2 anguished years living in the isolation and uncertainty of sanctuary now are poised to walk free from a Philadelphia church. Clive and Onita Thompson says the federal government is dropping its deportation case against them, and they will soon return to their South Jersey home and the lives they abandoned in August of 2018. The termination of their removal order allows the Thompsons to seek permanent residency in the United States, a process now underway. My whole heart is ready to go, Anita, 48, said in an interview from inside Tabernacle United Church in University City. A formal announcement from New Sanctuary Movement of Philadelphia, the advocacy group supporting the family, was expected on Sunday. So they did the formal announcement today. The news marks a dramatic end or a new beginning to the saga of a family that fled Jamaica in 2004 after gang members burned their farm and threatened to kill them. The United States government denied them asylum but allowed them to stay. For 14 years, the Thompsons worked, paid taxes, and raised their 7 children in the tiny Cumberland County community of Cedarville. Then, the Trump administration took power and moved to deport them. Every person that was an immigrant in this country from 2016 to 2020 really did not feel safe, whether they were here, they had all their papers together or not. I am joyful, a joyful moment with tears, Clive 61 said. Here we are walking out of the church. We are going back and to live the American dream. It was unclear when the Thompsons might depart the church. Typically, the transition from sanctuary to community can take weeks as belongings are packed and moved. Nor was it clear why the Trump administration, having denied the couples every entreaty, suddenly agreed to change course. U.S. Immigration and Customs enforcement officials did not immediately reply to a request for comment on Sunday morning. And it just goes to show that when we use our press, the voices that we have in the press to support and help people, that these are the kinds of things that can happen. They have been added. I have seen so many emails about this family, and just finally just, look, let's go and put them on the air so people can hear them, talk to them, and understand that they didn't just come here and decided that they were paying taxes, they were living here legally, and then all of a sudden they were snatched from them that they were going to be deported. So they went to the church to go live. And so I'm grateful that this has been a good thing for the family. From the day the Thompsons stepped into sanctuary, prayer and fasting for freedom have been a regular part of their lives. Doubt was never in my mind, Onita said. I was very afraid of losing my children, of being deported. But if I allowed doubt in my mind, I would have fallen apart. I was fearful, but not doubtful. Ooh, Father God, I'm trying to tell you. And so, he held up the tax documents showing taxes paid to the United States government. And so the couple's situation gained national attention as a drama that pitted a hardworking, God-loving couple against the administration bent on deporting all who lack official permission to be there. Their removal would have broken apart their family since their children are either citizens or live legally in the United States. It was that story was amazing. It really was. And so, oh, Lord, George, how are you, son? How are you?
I'm fine. I want to thank Prince for those jobs that he gives out. He gives out a good bit of jobs and steady jobs. They go from salt to landscaping. It's all seasonal, but he pay good money. It's not like you got a job, but you got to work. It ain't something that you can be on your cell phone or sit up there and lollygag. I mean, it's work. And that's why you see a lot of foreigners doing it, because it's good money, and, it's like to block yourself out, But I called you, maybe you can answer this question, because everybody I asked, I got laughed at. They looked at me like I'm a fool, like I don't know any better. I shouldn't even ask the dumb question, but I did. How is it that the builder's trade benefit of getting money from the tax abatement, any type of tax, anything to do with that there, how is it that the builder's trade get money from that?
But from what I understood from Prince, the builder's trade was not getting money from the tax abatement, according to Prince.
Right, it's not. So why do you have all these intelligencies running around, keep saying the same old dumb thing? I never said anything because I thought maybe, I know it's part of their gimmick, but I thought eventually you stop talking stupid, But they had me so tricked up. I was like, really? Builders trades get some money? How is it that? It's a developer, all of them there. And if you look at it, it's that their money goes, that's the union. They provide workers. So I don't see how is it that they have any control over. They care less if you have a tax abatement or not, and anything else. I mean, because development is development. But the developers is the ones who's making the money. Those are the ones they should be screaming. That's right. They can't talk about them because they are prominent white men in this city, and you're not allowed to talk about them. You know, you start doing that, then these people have problems. You ever notice that they always have a problem who talk about the people who bring you the problem and present it to you? Just like this violence piece, I got to say it real quick because you're up against the clock, is that you notice, like I always say, all these wannabe revolutionaries and all these ones who's raising all that hell in the beginning, you notice how quiet all of them are? They don't say nothing. They better not say anything. And I say it all the time, hoping that they will, but they won't. They cowards. Just like you got them elected officials, right? Especially the state. Everybody always, they placate on this thing here, we're going to make more gun laws. Gun laws ain't for people who run around killing people and shooting off guns. They only make it harder for law-abiding citizens. That's all. Stop talking. Every time you see a fool talking about we need more gun laws. No, that's a sham for people to think that they're doing something. They're not doing anything. Yeah. People need to wake up and stop kissing up and sucking up and wanting to be in them and take selfies and all that. You ever notice when they come around now, these elected officials, they all want to take a selfie with you. They all want to be on social media. You know, they feel important. You know, and people make them feel important. You know, my daughter in Atlanta, she works for the Atlanta Disease Control Center for pediatrics. She's one of the top nurses there. She said, Dad, let me tell you something. She said, as nurses, we don't usually speak on this here. But if they wanted, she said, when Biden's son had cancer, Bo had cancer, she said within that year, they came out with more cures for cancers that we thought that they couldn't cure right away. It was a thing of longevity and all this here. But the pharmaceutical people and the research people was getting so much money to look into stuff. She said this virus, she said they had a cure for that virus within 3 months, which is unheard of among the lay people. She said, but in the medical society, they know what they can, and if the right person call, she told me, she said, like, look at Magic Johnson. Somebody called for him, and he been walking around with AIDS before they even knew what vaccines and all that was. So it's truth to that. Like they say, they only do things when the public cry out for it. If the public holler and scream and stop, kissing up, then you get things done. Philadelphia is the last of the machine city. So stop thinking that you can break the machine and make these. The only thing you can do is when you put pressure on them, they change. And if they got to get rid of somebody, they will. But you will get something. Right now, you're not getting anything, and they're laughing at you. They're laughing. They send someone and say, who's mad? Who's George mad at? If he's putting all our business out there, we're going to have to use his now work. If you look at your elected officials, most of them are on 50 pounds, 30 to 40 pounds, maybe 50, because why? They're lazy and trifling, sitting home, just eating and just sitting there, and only have to go on things Thursday, go on whatever that is, and that's it. People sit there, but you want to sit there and dog about what somebody say instead of listening to what they say and try to take heed to what they say and stop getting used. Some people like abuse, like to be used, but if that's your twist, good. But don't mess up your community because you want to kiss up and suck up. Just like you had a couple hosts talking about, well, they did this for me and they did. It's always what they do for you, but what have they done for the community? What have they done for their constituents? The numbers
it becomes a slippery slope when we make it personal. It really does. And so, yeah. I can't speak for anybody else, George. I can only speak for what we do on this end, right?
And you know what? The best thing that ever happened was your show. You know why? People get more informed because you don't owe nobody nothing. You don't have to kiss up to nobody. Either they come on your show or they don't come on your show. At least I know when they come on your show, they haven't given you a script what you can only ask them. Why do you think the police commissioner haven't come? Why do you think none of these people going to come on your show unless they can try to get some type of agreement? Like McNesby going to come on your show. At least he got more heart than those Negroes do. That's for sure. You watch. You'll be the first one to get it. You know why? Everybody listen to your show contrary to your beliefs and thoughts because you have a truthful, open show. You don't have to sit up there and you don't be trying to sit there and muzzle people well, don't talk about my friend. Really? Don't talk about your friends? Okay. I'm going to talk about your friend's mother, you know.
Goodbye, George. Goodbye, George. I got to go to break. You have a good one. Bye-bye. George is a mess. Lord help me. You are listening to The Source. When I come back, I know I have a guest at the 2 o'clock hour, but I want to talk to you about the fact that Pennsylvania missed the deadline to spend $108 million in rent or mortgage relief from the CARES Act. I've never seen anything I want somebody to tell me why this is happening. Pennsylvania tenants and homeowners missed out on roughly $108 million of $175 million in federal coronavirus relief because state programs distributing the funding made it too hard to access, Spotlight Pennsylvania has found. The remaining money will be redistributed to the State Department of okay, I'm going to talk about this when I come back. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
Want to buy black for the holidays? WURD Radio has got you covered. WURD is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Visit WURDradio.com/marketplace or WURDworks.com/marketplace. Jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Livelihood. The new initiative from WURD Radio to connect Philadelphians to resources to help take the next steps in their professional lives. WURDworks.com features career readiness tools, entrepreneurship resources, funding opportunities, and events to expand your livelihood. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Before my first guest of the day comes on, I'm going to read this article again. It was written by Charlotte Keith from Spotlight, PA, Trib Live, December 20th, yesterday. All right, so hold on. Eunice is on the line. All right, I'll get to her in 1 second. Let me just read this. Spotlight, PA is an independent, nonpartisan newsroom powered by the Philadelphia Inquirer in partnership with Penn Live and the Patriot News, Trib Live Pittsburgh, Tribune Review, and WITF Public Media. And so Pennsylvania tenants and homeowners missed out on roughly $108 million of $175 million in federal coronavirus relief because the state programs distributing the funding made it too hard to access, Spotlight PA has found. The remaining money will be redistributed to the state's Department of Corrections. I got issue with this. I have a serious issue with this. And so now my question then becomes, did they make it difficult on purpose because they wanted that money to be funneled to the state's Department of Corrections? Over the summer, Pennsylvania created 2 new housing programs to spend money it received under the Federal Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economy Security Act, $150 million for rent relief and $25 million for mortgage help. Thousands of struggling families applied up until an extended November 4th deadline as coronavirus shutdowns led to layoffs, lost wages, and missed rent and mortgage payments. Local governments and nonprofits administering the funds were inundated with phone calls and emails from people pleading for help with the demanding application process. Nonetheless, the deadline to pay out all $175 million was November 30th, and roughly $108 million was not used, according to the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, which oversaw both programs and was still finalizing the precise numbers on Friday. The legislature voted in November to redirect any remaining CARES Act funds from these and other programs to the Department of Corrections. The money will go toward payroll expenses for public safety and healthcare employees or similar employees whose services are substantially. I have no idea who that is, Michael. Ask who that is, please. The legislature voted in November to redirect any of that money. The money will go towards payroll expenses or similar employees whose services are substantially dedicated to mitigating or responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency. It's horrible to know that the state did such a poor job of helping people, said Patty Torres, organizing director at Make the Road Pennsylvania, a Latinx advocacy group. So let me see if I get this straight, because, you know, I always want to make sure that I'm not missing something. There were thousands of people who are struggling to stay into their places, thousands of people who needed rent relief, and you telling me that $108 million of that was not used and they sent it to the other programs, to the Department of Corrections? What is wrong with this picture? And so we're getting another stimulus bill that was just passed by Congress today, last night into this morning. Where's that money going to go? How can we in good conscience watch so many people lose their homes, watch so many people who have homes that could have had rent relief sent to the homeowners so that people could pay their rent and stay where they are? It is cold as hell outside, right? It's going to be a cold winter. Are you telling me that $108 million could not have helped those people? Are you telling me that you didn't have enough things going on to help those folks? Okay, somebody needs to answer to this. So if somebody can find me a state legislator, somebody, Joanna McClinton, somebody, to let me know what's going on in these Wakandan streets. Maybe somebody can answer this for me in a way that makes sense, because what I am reading right now is making absolutely no sense at all. So I will be back to that. Let me just go on over here. Michael, find out for me who the other caller is, please. Eunice, good afternoon, Eunice. Are you there?
How
Eunice?
are you?
I am good. I can hardly hear you. Can you get a little closer? Hello? Eunice? Hello? All right. Let me just, she may have to call back. Eunice Lafayette was born on the island of, she's disconnected, so she'll call back. Was born on the island of Jamaica. Her creative vision finds its origins in the colors and tones of the island's people, landscapes, and culture. While her homeland has had a major effect on her art, so too have her many experiences here in the United States, where she transitioned from her early career in education to human services administration. Eunice, are you there?
Sure, and I'm excited to talk with you.
Me too. Let me ask you this. How do you pronounce your last name?
Lafayette. Fate as in destiny. Fate
I
as
said
in
it
destiny.
right. I said it right, yes.
And you know, when I lived in Jamaica, my first name was pronounced as Eunice.
Only Jamaica. Only Jamaica. So, Eunice, I am talking to you. You're a self-taught artist who has been painting for more than 20 years. What happened to you in Delaware recently? Which is why I asked to speak with you.
Oh, very exciting. On the 15th of December, I celebrated my 37th anniversary of coming to live in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. And I had a week-long celebration of it. It's a love story in itself of how I came here in the first place.
Well, tell us a little bit about it, because you know, plenty of us have been here for a long time. Nobody's celebrating my 30, 40 years of being in America.
This is intriguing. When I lived in Jamaica and worked as a teacher, I had 6 weeks vacation. most of my siblings lived and are still living in New York. So for 3 of those 6 weeks vacation in the summer, I would take a trip to New York. And then in 1981, I learned that a schoolmate of mine lived in Wilmington, Delaware. I contacted her. She invited me to come over. Instead of going to New York that year, I came to Wilmington, spent a week, and then the Sunday when I was leaving the Monday, she had a dinner for me, a going-away dinner. And it was one of the guests at that dinner that became my late husband of 31 years. He passed May of 2015 from cancer. But the interesting part about it is that 14 years before I met that man, my late dad, who was more or less a high priest, I was engaged to a teacher, and he woke me up one. They didn't like him. He woke me up one morning and said, "Uni," they used to call me Uni, "you're not going to marry that man. The man you're going to marry is in the United States." That's 14 years. And he described my late husband to a T. That he was a tall man, and we lived below the road, and he came and called my name and said, pack up, you have to move to the United States. By that time, I was flashing engagement ring. The teacher had engaged me. I was flashing engagement.
So wait, so you were engaged to somebody else, to
yes,
be married to somebody else, and this man came and told you your husband is going to be in America, not this person you're engaged to.
There you go. And that relationship didn't last. The guy had come as an intern, and he had bad habits, so my parents didn't like him, so they prayed him away. They prayed him out of my life, and thank God for that.
Like a typical Jamaican parent, right?
Yeah, of course. So at that dinner, I met the love of my life. We kept a long-distance relationship for a year, and then we were married in 1983, and I moved here to Wilmington, Delaware. And the journey has been exciting. And it has gone through various phases. I taught when I moved here first. And after a year, I went into banking.
You teach, Eunice?
Okay, are you there?
I am here. What did you teach?
I taught at a Catholic school in the city at 4th grade class. And after a year, Delaware, Wilmington is a banking mecca of the United States. So I was told, I was making piddly squee money at that school. So I was told, if you want to make better money, go to the bank. So, yes, I went into the banking industry. Well, those were the worst 12 years of my career.
Oh, wow.
Racism, blatant racism. My accent was criticized. One man just said to me, "I don't understand you when you speak." And I said, "Pardon me, I speak the Queen's English." I said, "Oh, do you mean you don't like my accent?" Oh, yeah, and it went through stages and got so bad that it ended up in the courts of the law, but I cannot name the company. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, one of my paintings is titled "A Matter of Principle," showing me as a plaintiff in the seat. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So that's a chapter in itself. Okay, but there comes my...
Can I stop you for a second, Eunice, and say this to you? You remind me so much of Miss Lou.
When I was in elementary school, I used to recite Miss Lou to many encores. They used to have those concerts at school, and I used to recite. They used to call me Miss Lou.
Yes, so for those of you who are listening that have no idea who Miss Louise Bennett is, she's a well-known national figure in Jamaica who did a lot of recitations of stories and singing and dancing, and we loved her. We would see Miss Lou come in with her big bosom, and she would tell these great stories, and folks loved her. I'm listening to Eunice, and she reminds me so much.
Patois, which is the combination of the English language and those African tribal languages. Patois. Oh, no do out there. Oh, no do out there this afternoon. Oh, no do everybody. Oh, you do Miss Brianna?
Oh, that's not Brianna. It's me, Andrea. So listen.
Oh, Andrea. Okay.
Oh yeah, Brianna is my producer.
I see.
And Brianna is very American. If you were talking to Brianna in Patois the way you just did just now, she would not have understood a word that was coming out of your mouth, Eunice. But it's all right. It's me. I want to share something with you. There's an English teacher in Abington School District. We laugh at this story every single time. She got hired to teach English in the school district, and the then principal, who has since passed away, said, I don't understand her. How can she teach English if I can't understand her?
Oh my
They
God.
think that the accent makes you uneducated. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Yep. So your story
You know what
is not.
I used to say to them? You have an accent. I have an accent. We all have an accent.
Yep.
And literally speaking, that's true. Because when they're saying, oh, I've been asked many times, how long have you been in the United States? And when I give them the years, and you still have that accent. And I would say, I would never trade my accent for all the treasures in the world.
Yeah, you know, Eunice, and I'm glad you said that. So it's so interesting. When we were growing up in Jamaica, I would speak Patois with my friends out in the road, right? When I would meet with my friends and coming to and from school. And my parents would always say, speak the Queen's English when you're in the house sitting at the table. So when I came to America, people knew I was not American, but they couldn't tell exactly where I was from until I got mad, right? If I got angry, then the Patois comes flying out, right?
Yeah.
But I have been here for a long time. I have 28 and 24-year-old children, and my accent is still here. Where's my accent going? It's what I was born and raised with.
What makes us real.
Yes.
That's what makes us who we are. You know, Andrea, I have a painting, the most iconic piece, and it is titled The Melting Pot versus the Salad Bowl. I don't know if you have ever seen it.
The Melting Pot, because I know that Wilmington honored you versus the Salad Bowl.
I could fill this gallery with accolades and awards. I've gotten so many awards in the city.
Let me ask you something, Eunice. Are you selling your paintings? Because I have paintings in my home from Jamaican artists. Okay, all right.
Philadelphia was my greatest market in the 1990s. I have some interesting stories of those who collected my work then. They're sitting on a treasure. They're sitting on mega bucks now.
Oh.
With all the awards my art has appreciated.
So that means I can't afford you now. See how life goes?
You sure can. I have miniatures. Let me get back to that subject of the melting pot versus the salad bowl. Because that shows my evolution. When I arrived here first, I told you I came in the winter, and to cope with the nostalgia, I painted that winter just to calm my fears of the cold weather. And thereafter, I became a winter painter. And I was painting on tropical sceneries, a storm. Then as I evolved and moved into different careers, and the first one was teaching, the classroom became a subject in my painting. You know, those teachable moments when the kids would be hurling racial slurs, probably innocently, and I would time them out. One of my paintings, which is copying President Clinton's library, came out of my fourth grade classroom. I was teaching math, and a kid was laughing his head off in the back of the room. And I said, he was reading a book. I said, bring that book. We want to laugh, too. He brought a National Geographic magazine, opened to the page of a scantily dressed African man wearing a loincloth, poked it in my face and said, Miss, is this how all the people in Jamaica look? Well, that was a teachable moment. I said, no, they look like me. And I said, tomorrow I'm going to bring you some photographs of my family and the people, which I did. And that was no longer a math lesson. It was a teachable moment. And Andrea, you know what I lament about? The fact that teachers now won't even touch diversity. Oh, they don't want to be sued. So when they deal with racial issues in the classroom, they just gloss over it and move on, which is a shame. Yes, so the melting pot versus the salad bowl was a crossroad from my Caribbean. As I told you, when I came here first, I was painting up tropical sceneries. And then from the classroom into banking and experiencing racism, utter and blatant, then I changed the perspective of my paintings. The style was the same, but the subject matter now became diversity. equality, racial harmony, etc.
Yeah.
That's what I'm known for today.
Oh.
So you really have to see some of those work.
I do. So you know what? When I asked you to come onto the show, Eunice, I did not know this piece about you. I have been an implicit bias trainer for almost 3 decades. I've been at it now for a while, and I don't have any paintings around that talks about race and diversity. I have quite a few African pieces painted by Black and brown folks here, but that piece I don't have. And I'm still working with police departments. I'm still working with schools. I'm doing it via Zoom now. But I need something
there
to
is one
remind.
I have, Andrea, titled Storyteller. You have to see that. Well, the original sold, but I still have limited because it was the storyteller. When I was moving here, my mom said to me, "America is a great place. It can make you or break you, but don't let it break you," which it didn't. And it was these stories that I learned about my heritage, about the greatness of our African people, and that's what kept me, kept me through the dark ages of the banking industry, when day after day I would be meeting with utter racism. Yeah. So yes, so my work became from the tropics to diversity and racial harmony. And now I have 20 different themes of work that span 27 years.
Let me ask you something, Eunice. Is there a website that I can go take a look at this stuff?
Oh, yeah, I thought I had sent that to the producer. It's www.Lafayette, which is my first name, Lafate, LafaitteGallery.com. That's where you'll, and Facebook is where you need to go, because that's where I do my videos. I do a live video almost every day.
You are so intriguing to me. I love this story. So tell me how Delaware now honored you after 37 years of being.
So the first honor I received, ironically, was while I was undergoing racism in the banking industry. Oh, well, no, I was their protege at that time. I didn't rock the boat yet. So I was honored with the Black Achievers in Business and Industry Award, which came out of Harlem, the Harlem YMCA, and then the local YMCA picked it up, and every year they had an annual banquet. So they would pick professionals, blacks, who were doing well in their job and in the community, and I'm a community advocate. So I received the award in 1990, the Black Achievers in Business and Industry Award. And then thereafter, every year, actually in 93, General Colin Powell was here, as they used to get very dynamic keynote speakers, and he owns one of my paintings. I presented to him that year. And it was through those channels, volunteerism, that put me on the map with my art. One magazine in the city saw one of my paintings given at one of these banquets and contacted me, commissioned me to do a page. And that's now historic, because the president-elect, who I have known personally for 37 years, saw the magazine cover. It was an out-and-about magazine, and my art was on it with children playing at the white. Beautiful piece, and wrote me a letter. I'm going to send it to you at some convenience. It's on my page. Wrote me a very beautiful letter, personal, applauding me. And that was the catalyst for my art transitioning from a hobby to a business. I licensed that very year, 93. A friend of mine saw the magazine and said, "Girl, who's managing your business?" I said, "Business? It's my hobby." And when I'm stressed in corporate America, she said, "With this magazine, you're going to go places." So she went up to the state and took out a license and licensed my business as Lafayette Gallery, which is now 27 years old. But it was first home-based for 22 years until my late husband passed. I never sold from my home. I would come to your events in Philly. That was my great market in the 90s, and I would sell my work in those venues. And then when Robert passed, my siblings in New York came and packed me up, literally. I gave away all my household, good pots and pans, etc.
Right.
They wanted me to move to New York, but I prayed. I'm a girl of faith. And I prayed. I said, God, give me a vision. And he gave me the vision to open the Faith Gallery.
So you opened the, because I'm looking at your stuff right now. You know.
And
so
you know what?
The break every chain is calling my name. I have a birthday coming up, and my husband keeps asking me, "What do you want? What? I don't want anything." So I'll get back to you on that.
Let's not forget the thought. The theme of my gallery is rebounding from grief to growth. And I teach a class by the same name. Because, as I said, it was when my late husband passed away and my siblings wanted me to move to New York. I said, give me time to pray. And God gave me the vision to open this gallery, which is not a gallery, it's a vision center.
Yes.
I do a lot for the community, for the children. During the pandemic, I cooked, painting, art, and I wanted children. I wanted to rescue children from homeschooling. So I went to 2 corporations and got funding to bring kids to my gallery free of cost to the parents. 5 at a time. 40 children were sponsored, and I brought them in small groups, masks on, gloves, no share, safe, very safe. 40, that's the greatest accomplishment for this year for me.
Yeah.
Managing to inspire 40 children. And when they came in, it was just painting. I took them on an imaginary journey. Let's board the plane and go to Jamaica.
Ooh, all right, hold on, Eunice, because I tell you, hold on. I'm going to have to take a quick break. They're asking for your website, so I just posted it on the Facebook page. But hold on, I have to take a quick break, and then we'll talk about your taking them on an imaginary journey. Hold on for me, okay?
Very good.
All right. The Source Education Hour is brought to you by Internet Essentials from Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit InternetEssentials.com to learn more. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are just joining us, I have on the line with me someone who is just full of life and vitality. Eunice Lafayette, she was born on the island of Jamaica. She's an amazing artist. I was looking at her website while I was talking to her, has won quite a few awards, and she just celebrated her 37th year in the state of Delaware. Her life story has been interesting to say the least, but now she's talking about the fact that you opened the gallery. You just opened the gallery, Eunice?
I opened it 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Yes, when my late husband passed away.
Okay. And so when COVID struck, you went and got funding so you could give, yes, at no cost to their parents,
at
right?
No cost. 40 children were sponsored. 2 different companies sponsored 20 each.
Let me ask you this. I know you have amazing faith just from talking to you. When you had your darkest moments, because living in the United States as an immigrant is not an easy one, right?
No.
It's not an easy journey. There's so much that we have to face, you know, and in fact, I'm working on something now that I hope comes to fruition, because I'm telling you, it's going to be so amazing. Just just trust me. Stuff I can't talk about right now. But you know, there is so much that we have to deal with. When you had your darkest moments, what kept you going other than prayer? Because I can tell that you're a woman of faith. What kept you in the darkest moments?
Painting. I would go home from painting and music. Bob Marley. Thank you, Bob Marley. Okay. I would go home very stressed. And rather than taking out, that's from corporate America now. I was in the banking industry. Rather than taking it out on my family, I would just go and paint. And I never put anything negative on my canvas. If you look at my series called Diversity, Racial Harmony, what you're seeing is diversity, acceptance, inclusion, like the melting pot versus salad bowl.
Yes, I saw that.
And music. And then I would put on Bob Marley's song, No Woman, I can't sing.
No woman, no cry.
No cry. No woman, no cry. I would be painting and singing. And then when the pandemic broke and I had to cope, it was Bob Marley's music again. I would paint. And then I would put on the Three Little Birds. Don't worry about the thing, for every little thing gonna be all right.
It's gonna be all right.
That's correct. So it is the power of music and the power of art. And girl, you want to hear this? A famous drummer, a drummer extraordinaire, jazz drummer in Wilmington, Jonathan W. Whitney, used 5 of my paintings in a 12-track album. He actually composed music from my paintings.
Oh, wow.
And one of the paintings says, One Love, One Heart. Diversity is one of them. Dreaming of Peace, Circle of Love, and it even took in, what do you call it, respecting diversity in terms of LGBT. I have a piece called Equality Perspective.
Yes,
because when the governor passed the marriage equality and people were being, you know, I don't want to see, because I told you I face discrimination.
Yes.
For discrimination to me, Andrea, is hurtful.
Yes, it
is. To that extent,
any form of it, yes.
Any form. I abhor every form of discrimination. And I find every opportunity to be inclusive. And I use that in my painting.
Yes. I'm so proud of you. I am. I really am. So this latest award that you got from Delaware, tell us about that.
The most famous award I received to date is the Governor's Award for the Arts. And it used to be on a 4-year cycle. And I was one of the recipients in 2014. And ironically, that my husband, who was my sidekick, was always at my side or sitting in the audience on those occasions. That's the last award ceremony attended with me, because the following month he was hospitalized. And from there on, 5 months after, he passed. And it was the Governor's Award for the Arts. And the title I was given in that award is Advocate. Yes, an advocate for folk art. Because when I came here first and started showing my work, I got reprimanded. I got a lot of snotty remarks, like I round the hands off. I don't put fingers and faces, etc. I would be asked, where are the fingers? Where you're from, people don't have fingers? Is that how all the people in Jamaica look, with round hands? Yeah.
But you know, art is subjective, right?
There you
and
go.
So, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I told them? It is not about the perspective, the lines vanishing, etc. It is about the life story. Ask me, what is the story behind that painting? You know, today, they don't ask for fingers anymore. They see a painting. What is the story behind that painting? And by the way, let me just announce that I am a writer, and I have documented the stories behind my paintings, only 25 though, in a book titled Catalog of Selected Works and Writings art that celebrates the individual, bridges differences, and creates unity from diversity. It's on my website.
Okay.
If you,
all right. So I shared the website, so if they want to see that,
yes,
they can.
That catalog
Yeah.
is there, and I highly recommend it for children. Well, it's a family. It's a family affair. It can be put on the coffee table, and children, even if they can't read, they can go through the pages and learn about respecting others, learn about differences.
Eunice, you have a spirit of confidence that is lacking in a lot of people. There are people who would listen to. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. There are people who would look at you and say that when you speak, you sound like you're bragging. But I know where you got it from. You didn't even have to tell me. I know where you got it from. We have been so browbeaten as a people that when we speak with confidence, that people think that there's bragging happening there.
Yes,
but I love that level of confidence that you carry, and wish that we could just sprinkle it on everybody.
I guess where that came from my heritage, from storytelling again, when my mom would tell us about the greatness of our heritage, some of our ancestors who stood up on the plantation and faced down the slave masters.
Danny of the Maroons, yep.
Oh, yeah.
She's in my kitchen.
And look, I've accomplished a lot, and I'm humble, but I'm proud.
Yes.
So if I start bragging, there's a lot to brag about.
Very good.
My work, by the way, is in President Bill Clinton's library. I attended the opening ceremony on the 4th of November in 2004. That same melting pot versus the salad bowl, and the piece that came out of the classroom when the kids were saying how Jamaican people look, it's called diversity. Oh, it's our motto. Out of many, one people. You can see it on my website. Those two lithographs are in the art collection of President Bill Clinton's library.
Oh, you better go on with it. Listen, there is so much for you to be proud. The last question I'm going to ask you, and then I have to go because I have another guest coming on, is this. What advice do you have for immigrants that are here and struggling, thinking that they cannot make it? I like it too, Lorraine.
Find a mentor. And I am open to be a mentor. You can
find a mentor, yes.
Jamaicans need to band together. Oh, my gosh. I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. And I have helped a lot of Jamaicans over the years, help them to be smart and to stand up and buck the system, you know? And we have to band together. Unity. Unity, because we are all facing issues that are sometimes beyond our bounds. But if we work together and if each one teaches one and helps the other person to survive, then we can conquer. We can conquer the enemy of racism.
Yes, agreed. Eunice Lafayette, I am so proud of you. From one yardie to the next, thank you so much, my sister. And hopefully I'll be able to I can afford your paintings.
Well, let me ask you a question in case I want to share the interview. Is it on YouTube?
It is on YouTube, and it is on Facebook Live. So there's WURD TV. WURD TV is on Facebook Live.
Let me write that down.
Yes, ma'am. WURD TV.
TV.
And you'll see it. And you'll see it there. Let me tell you something that you just did for my very soul. Just listening to you talk, you reminded me that I can be humble but proud. We as Jamaicans, we accomplish so much. We do so much, and people would have us. I remember some years ago, Miss Eunice, a woman who I just immediately didn't even bother with her after that. Came back door on behind the scenes on Facebook and said to me, "You're doing too much. You're all about too much. It just seems like it's just not right."
I face some of that too.
Yes, yes. And what they don't understand is that we work so hard. Anybody that works hard should be able to speak about the things that they work so hard for. And what it ended up causing me to do was to continue to just not to shut down, but to continue to share my light so that I can help others and so that others can help me.
And
you know,
I'm going to translate that into value. The first painting I sold, which I spent almost 6 months painting, I didn't even want to. I had no need to sell my painting there because I was making decent money in the bank. I sold the painting for $100. And today my work is in the high 5 figures.
Yeah, well, I know. I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it didn't come overnight. I earned it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well,
yes,
thank you for the opportunity. And if I touch one person out there, if one person listening to my voice is empowered, I've done my job. My living will not be in vain.
Well, ma'am, you empowered this Jamaican
Remember that
sister.
beautiful song? If I help somebody as I pass this way, then my living would not be in vain.
I want to let you know that you helped me. I'm getting ready to make a decision that's not going to be an easy one, and I've had the discussion with my husband, and and trying to figure out the best way around it. But one of the things that I tell folks all the time, and I say this to my husband all the time: know your value. And when you know your value, then you don't work so hard to stick around with folks who will not treat you well.
That's right.
Yep. Yep. All right. Thank you so much.
The last thing I'm going to say is vision. Yes. Have a vision. Write the vision down.
Yes.
My dad was a preacher. So actually, you haven't even gotten the other side of me. I'm a preacher too. Well, and my Habakkuk 2 verse 2. Write the vision down
and make it plain.
That he may run who readeth it. You have to write it down. Write the vision
you're
down.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And so, just so you know that our heritage is moving along, I was telling some folks on the radio not so long ago that on my door, walking out my house, are large sheets of paper of and I keep adding to the vision. It's anywhere from a week to 2 weeks to 5 years out to 10 years out to 20 years out, and all of it is coming true, right? Because I write it out, and then we tell people this all the time.
Well,
so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like huge sheets, Miss Eunice. Just sit. I thank God for my husband, because he was like, "Well, are these sheets coming down?" He never once said that to me, but that is how.
A supportive husband. Oh my God, my husband is so supportive. And my next big project, I have been keeping a pandemic journal, Art of Coping with COVID-19, and all the 3 little birds and the beautiful flowers I created during the pandemic. All of those are going to be in my book.
Yes, I love you. Thank you so much, Miss Eunice.
Thank you too, and let's stay in touch.
Yes, ma'am. We will.
I can come back in the Philly market.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, one of my best patrons now is from Philly.
Yes, so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You have a good one, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye. Oh,
bye.
Bye-bye. Ah, Miss Eunice is so cool. I love it. I love it. The Source Education Hour was brought to you by Internet Essentials from Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit InternetEssentials.com to learn more. Let me say something to you about Miss Eunice Lafayette that makes absolute sense. When you find your passion, when she was in her darkest moments, she found painting and music. Bob Marley was what got her through. In my darkest moments, I write and I listen to Prince, right? Everybody has something that inspires them. I could write and write and write and write and write in my voice, right? I used to let people say to me, you can't write there, you can't put that over there, and you can't know. I'm writing in my most authentic voice. Yes, I know the Queen's English. Yes, I did well in writing, and so I know how to write well, but there's certain things that I put in certain places on purpose, right? Because that's how I write, so that people can understand me. And so it's just, I got it, Michael. I'm doing that too. So it is find your passion, y'all. Find your passion. I have vision boards all over the place. And I firmly believe in them. And really writing out affirmations to yourself every day. Don't spend your time wallowing about what people have done and haven't done for you. When something stops serving you, thank them for the part that they play on your journey and keep it moving. You don't believe me? Watch. Want to buy black for the holidays? We have got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on wordradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
I'm Councilman Kenyatta Johnson. Please stay home to stop the spread of COVID-19. The more people stay home and social distance, the more chance we have to stop the spread. We know everybody can't stay home all the time. If you work a job that's essential or you need to go grocery shopping or get medical care, please maintain your social distance of 6 feet. Wear a mask to cover your face. This is hard on everybody, but we have to work together. Stop the spread, stay home, save lives. For more information, visit www.phila.gov/COVID-19.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Many of us have heard this term before, but may not know what it really means. Compassionate living brings mindfulness and peace to the center of your daily life. Compassionate living can look like this. Number 1, be gentle with yourself and those around you. Number 2, choose to speak kindly to others, even when you're upset. Number 3, become a good listener and practice empathy at home and at work. We sometimes think in order to live with compassion, we have to become someone else. Not so. In fact, allowing peacefulness to be at the center of our daily interactions is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at wordradio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, we had just had a great conversation with a Jamaican-born woman by the name of Eunice Lafayette, who is an artist and has been given all kinds of great awards from the state of Delaware. And 2 of her paintings are in the Presidential Library for Bill Clinton. She walked with such, she was so proud of her accomplishments. She reminded me, she said, I am humble but proud. And that is that we should never shirk away from the things that we've accomplished so that other people can feel better about the mediocrity that they sit steeped in, right? And so she was a great interview. I do have another interview on the line. Let me just make sure that I have this. Dee Renee. And before I take Dee Renee, let me take one caller. Maurice from Southwest. How are you, darling?
I'm okay. How are you today, Mother?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to the holidays. Christmas Day is my husband's birthday, and mine is shortly thereafter. I need a break.
I wasn't able to catch your show till late, but did anybody discuss the Walter P. Lomax bill that the city council?
I did when it first happened. I did.
And what did you get from that?
They named a street after him?
No, not the award to him. The bill that they said that next time that any kind of they do any business with these developers, they're gonna make sure that they got the right complement of minorities, and they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, because
no, did not see or hear about that.
Yeah, see, that's what they called it. I think Councilman Jones had put that out. Yeah, this is the Walter Lomax bill about how we're going to do all this and that. But you know what? See, that went over everybody's head because they used the great one, Walter Lomax's name. And I'm sorry, but for black people, when we hear something good, we forget about what they're doing. Like when they said the $435 million thing they was going to do. We the money comes to us. See, this is one of the tricks they've been doing for years. And the thing I'm trying to say is, why weren't you doing that in the beginning? I mean, it just makes perfect sense. You got all those black people on city council. Any time anybody wants to do business with the city, shouldn't you make sure that there's enough black people that's working? I mean, is this something brand new? Did you just get a brainstorm on this? Or, with all this millions and millions of dollars of business that's coming here, building all this building going on here, you didn't think that, hey, if these developers come in here, can we put some of our people to work? I mean, they act like this is something brand new when they should have been doing it since the beginning of the time, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So I just want to bring it up because a lot of times when they throw these things out there, we forget what the cause was. When the time we was out there marching up and down 52nd Street about the thing, first thing they say, Juneteenth is a holiday. Well, it's always been a holiday for us. They didn't do anything for us, and everybody stopped marching. These are the tricks that they use to calm us down when we start doing. I just hope in 01 that we're a little more stick to the game plan and stop when somebody gives us a gift, forget what the cause was. That's all I want to say.
All right. Well, thank you, Maurice. Thank you for calling. You all right otherwise? And he hung up. I can't with Maurice. I cannot. But it's always a pleasure. So let me see now. Who is Dee Renee? She is a free-spirited person who likes to go with the flow and have been practicing yoga for several years, and her love for it has led her to become a certified yoga instructor. She is passionate about helping others learn what works for their mind and body in relation to the yoga flow, and firmly believes that you should do what makes you feel comfortable in your poses, and if it does not feel right, there's always the child's pose. Remember, the practice of yoga initially starts in the mind. Good afternoon, Dee Renee. How are you?
Peace, and greetings. Can you hear me?
I can hear you quite well. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're quite welcome. So what caught me in your bio is there is no I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible enough. Can I tell you, I say that all the time. I do yoga on the steps with my friends, and one leg is to the left, one leg is to the right. I'm screaming and hollering and laughing, and I just feel so stiff. Why is it that, is there a mental block for some of us that think that yoga is something we just can't do?
Well, let me first start off by saying that so many people say, oh, I'm not flexible enough. That is the most common thing that a lot of people lead with, when in reality, the more you practice yoga, the more your body opens up for you. So it all starts with your breathing. So we're used to our regular breath every day. It's very shallow. But think about when you go to the doctor's office and they ask you to take a big breath in. You're like inhaling for a longer time than what you would normally do. It's the same with yoga. So the more you get into your breathing intentionally, the more your body will say, you know what, this is a safe pose. Let me open up more for her or him.
Okay. Okay. So it's really, so we're spending too much time thinking about it instead of just allowing it to happen naturally.
Correct.
Okay. All right. How did you get into yoga?
Well, it all started really with my mom, and she was having like arthritis and things like that. And I was like, you know what, if I learn how to do yoga, she won't have to pay someone to help her, you know, with her arthritis so that she would feel better. So I started practicing yoga, and I was like, you know what, I probably can teach this. So I made the intention in one of my classes that I would become a yoga instructor, and that's where it started.
So tell us a little bit about Meet Me at the Mat.
So Meet Me on the Mat started basically with my whole journey. Like once I became certified as a yoga teacher, I said, you know what, it's probably best for me to get a website so that people can find me easier. So the website derived from just, you know, word of mouth, people wanting to practice yoga with me, because I call it share yoga. I share yoga with others. I'm not teaching anyone anything. I'm just sharing the practice with you. So that's where the website kind of just stemmed from, just making sure that I had structure.
Okay. What do you do for someone who has comorbidities like hypertension and diabetes, or even an illness like cancer? Can they practice yoga, and is that helpful to their body?
So what I always say is consult your doctor first. See what your doctor says is appropriate. Ask them, is it okay if I practice some yoga? So there are different forms of yoga. So the yoga that I teach is vinyasa yoga. So it's a little bit more intense than your regular.
What is vinyasa?
Vinyasa yoga is, let's think of a burpee in slow motion. And the reason why
hell no. Oh, hell no. Burpee is a burpee. Hell. Renee.
So that's like your high to low push-up. And then you move forward and allow your chest to lead you up, roll your shoulders back. And you meet in a downward facing dog. So that's where your hips are your highest point. Your hands are pressing down into the mat. But it stretches your whole body. And it's really good for you. But it all goes back to kill me. Breath. It all goes back to the breathing.
Okay. I can literally visually picture it. I'm like, oh.
As soon as I said the slow motion of the burpee.
Yep. I was walking to the gym and they said, you're doing 40 burpees. And I was like, no.
Listen, I don't like burpees either, but I will say when it comes to breathing intentionally with movement, you flow so much better. And then after you're finished your vinyasa class, you feel like a weight is just lifted off of you. And then you just want to practice it more. There's beginners classes. And I just want to go back to your question when you were asking about people who have like illness.
Yes.
I usually do a consult with them first so that we can talk and see like what areas we can work with to make, things better for them. This is after they have already talked to their doctor to get the okay to, practice yoga.
Okay. All right. So that's good. How can people find you? Are you doing classes online now? Not because there's
I am actually doing classes online, and it's actually through a nonprofit foundation, Petaway Pursuit Foundation. Not sure if you ever heard of them, but twice a month they offer free yoga to the community. Anyone can sign up and do yoga, and I am their teacher. So, so they just need to go to PetawayPursuitFoundation.org.
Can you spell that for me, please? PEDI?
Yes, it's PETTAWA.
Okay.
Yeah, you want me to slow down? Do it again?
No, I got it. I got Petaway.
And then Pursuit, PRUSUIT. Foundation.org. And you can also find them on Instagram, Petaway. You can just start typing Petaway Pursuit, and it should come up.
Okay, and it will show up. So for anyone who would like to be a part of this class twice a month, it's free?
Yes, that's completely free. Now, if they want to do yoga with me, I do have a service that does cost money, but they can find me on meetmeonthemat.com.
Yes. Okay, we have meetmeonthemat.com on the Facebook page, so they'll be able to find you there. All right. Well, thank you so much, Renee. You got me thinking about this vinyasa.
If you just practice it, I'm trying to tell you, you will enjoy it, especially because it's important that before we even start getting into the vinyasa that I teach you how to breathe correctly.
Okay, you're going to have to.
Because even if you notice, whenever you're working out, what do? You hold your breath. You make it worse. So teaching you how to breathe through postures just makes it so much easier, and your body will open up and create flexibility.
Well, thank you, Renee. It was such a pleasure talking to you. Meetmeatthemat.com and PetawayPursuitFoundation.org. Either way, you want to try the vinyasa or you want to do the twice a month free yoga sessions, please feel free to reach out to her that way. Dee, look on Facebook for the WURD TV live programming. You'll see me there now. Put in the pedawayfoundation.org for folks, please. All right?
Sure, I'll put that in there, and I'll also put my Instagram so that they can find me that way, which is DRenee555.
Yep, put that in there. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
You as well.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. The Source Education Hour was brought to you by Internet Essentials from Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit internetessentials.com to learn more. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
COVID-19 affected many things this year, including regular vaccinations. Vaccines are safe, effective, and protect against serious diseases. Make sure you and your family are up to date on all vaccinations. Together, we can keep each other safe and healthy. Let's stay protected together. Get vaccinated today. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. My husband just sent a text and said that interview, we even heard him. Just listen to us talk about the yoga poses, hurt his whole soul. That is too funny. But it's yoga is good if you can remember to breathe. You know, and it has always helped me when I need to stretch. I remember some of the poses, the downward dog, all of that, and it helps me to stretch out my back. But I think for me, yoga has been a mental block. I have to get past that. It's one of those things I have to conquer. So we're in the 3 o'clock hour, and I'm going to do some news for you. And thank you, DRenee. I see you're putting it up there where people can reach you for the yoga. I am going to do a little bit of news because there's so much going on. So much. Jalen Hurts is going to come back. He did well in their recent game. They had a 33-26 loss to Arizona, but he did so well that they're going to have him open up again. Congress is expected to pass a new COVID-19 relief bill. After negotiating through the weekend, congressional leaders reached an agreement on an economic relief bill. The $900 billion package includes direct payments to most Americans and additional unemployment benefits, which I think people are really looking forward to. We just finished celebrating Hanukkah, by the way, so happy Hanukkah. I don't think I was able to talk about that. Here's a piece that I want to read to you that was sent to me by my friend Mary Lou Watson, and as much as it helped, it was good news, it hurt my soul too. So this was written by the Innocence Project, Daniel Selby. The best news I've heard in all my life, Tremaine Hicks is exonerated after 19 years of wrongful incarceration. Police shot Mr. Hicks as he was helping a victim. After they covered it up, he was wrongly convicted of attacking her. Oh, Lord. Tremaine Hicks was released from SCI Phoenix Prison on December 16, 2020 in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. His brother, Tone Hicks, and friend Tyrone McClendon greeted him upon release, and he's in the snow with his hands wide open, looking so happy. On Wednesday, Tremaine Hicks received the best I've heard in all my life. After 19 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit, Mr. Hicks was going home. The other guys on the cell block were shouting. They were happy for me, banging on the doors, he said. Mr. Hicks was exonerated after the Philadelphia Conviction Integrity Unit, led by Patricia Cummings, joined the Innocence Project's motion to vacate his conviction. Mr. Hicks, an Innocence Project client, was wrongly convicted of a rape that took place in Philadelphia in 2001. Then a 26-year-old father of one, Mr. Hicks had been walking home when he heard a woman screaming. She was badly beaten, so he reached for his cell phone to call 911. At that moment, police responding to the calls of several neighbors arrived on the scene. They shot him 3 times in the back. Only after did they realize their mistake. Mr. Hicks was not the right person. The man they had just shot did not match the description of the attacker provided by a witness who saw the assailant dragging the victim into an alley, and he was unarmed. It is a joyful day for me and my family, Mr. Hicks said after being released. At the same time, my thoughts and prayers are with the countless others who are not coming home today or ever because of an impulsive, ill-prepared, and apprehensive cop. The way that cops approach black and brown men and women stems from years of systemic racism. We need a whole new system. After realizing they had shot an unarmed man who did not match the description of the attacker, the officers conspired to cover it up. According to the National Registry of Exonerations, police misconduct like this has played a role in 35% of wrongful convictions, resulting in exoneration since 1989. Mr. Hicks' case is yet another example of the pervasive problem of police perjury in the criminal legal system, said Vanessa Potkin, Director of Post-Conviction Litigation at the Innocence Project, who represented Mr. Hicks. The cover-up of shooting an innocent man required the false testimony of 3 officers and the acquiescence of a dozen more. The officers falsely testified at trial that Mr. Hicks had lunged at them while armed with a gun that he had pulled from his pocket. However, the recent assessments by both the chief medical examiner for the city of Philadelphia and an independent medical examiner concluded that Mr. Hicks was shot from behind, meaning he wasn't coming from the officers when he was shot, and the gun the officers alleged to have found in his pocket was actually the off-duty weapon of another Philadelphia police officer. Based on these lies, Mr. Hicks was convicted of rape, aggravated assault, possessing an instrument of crime, and terroristic threats in 2002 and sentenced to up to 25 years in prison. Mr. Hicks' case is yet another example of systemic police abuse that is pervasive in the criminal legal system and persists because of institutional protections and a lack of accountability, Ms. Potkin said. The officers involved in this case had extensive internal affair files with numerous allegations of lying, planting evidence, excessive force, and substantiated complaints filed by civilians. Had these records been made publicly available, Mr. Hicks may not have had to endure so many years of injustice or wrongly being convicted at all, she said. Police disciplinary records are currently kept confidential in nearly half the states, including Pennsylvania. That is about to change. The Congress passed a law that's about to change all of that. Finally, home, Mr. Hicks said he is most proud of himself for staying strong and remaining determined to prove his innocence. At one point, Mr. Hicks was considered for parole, but was ultimately denied because he refused to admit guilt and continued to maintain his innocence. There were moments, but I did not give up, he said. One of the bullets barely missed my spine, but you are talking to a guy who ran a couple of marathons while he was incarcerated. Good God Almighty. During his wrongful imprisonment, Mr. Hicks said he focused on his mental and spiritual health and used creative writing as an emotional outlet. He wrote 12 plays and musicals while in prison, and now that he's free, he hopes to eventually produce and direct plays. Until then, he just wants to spend time with his family as a free person. When I say being black in this country is a metaphysical condition, I say this all the time. You know, we make excuses. We wait for the police not the police. We wait for the media to report what they could drag up in somebody's past. Instead of looking to see the innocence of the person, they go look to see what they can drag up in the past, and they believe anything that is sent to them. So even in media, things has to change. Even in media, you have to start hiring more black and brown people with a voice, with a lived experiences, who can go into the communities and ask the kinds of questions instead of making the assumptions and and the judgments of people. This man spent 19 years of his life wrongly incarcerated. A gun was planted on him that belonged to an off-duty officer. But because we just take the word of people who are in power or in charge, you know, and because there's so much going on here, the really good police officers will tell you that it is so difficult to get rid of the really bad ones. I've had countless conversations with chiefs of police who said they have fired really bad police officers and the union has gotten them back. And so life has to shift and change. There has to be a reimagining of what a police department looks like if we intend to stop some of this foolishness that's going on. A news break, it says here that stimulus checks of $600 are coming. Here's who will get one. So, you know, so they passed a relief package just in time. People in Pennsylvania are saying it's not enough. I'm still stuck on the $108 million that had to go back for rent relief that could have helped so many people, so many people. Ooh, Lord, Lord, Lord. Let me see the news roundup. Philadelphia City Council to hold emergency hearing on the impact of COVID-19 on the Philadelphia prison system today. It started at 10 o'clock this morning, and is on the Philadelphia City Council member Kenyatta Johnson resolution to examine available options for protecting Philadelphians in the Philadelphia jail system from COVID-19. It says here that the COVID-19 vaccine is being distributed to healthcare workers. One of them is a 17-year-old that works for the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium. She's been a volunteer there for quite a while, has given untold hours, and so she, I believe, got her vaccine yesterday. What else? Lord. Look at this. Erie's first Black female firefighter is now an officer. From the Philadelphia Tribune, written by Tim Hahn. Sina Mitchell was in grade school when she said she saw something one day in her hometown of Buffalo that just stopped me in my tracks. It was a Black female firefighter, someone who looked just like me, climbing off of a fire truck. I swear, never before in time had I thought I could do something like that, Michelle said. Seeing someone doing it was an eye-opener. From that point, I wanted to do it. Lieutenant Sina Mitchell, the Erie Bureau of Fire's Black female firefighter. Oh, Lord. See, here we go with the first, right? Lieutenant Sina Mitchell, the Erie Bureau of Fire's first Black female firefighter when she was hired in 2010 in August, was named the Bureau's first Black female officer. Michelle, 42, didn't seek her dream of becoming a firefighter right away, but after college, a stint in the U.S. Army, and a move to Erie, Pennsylvania, she said she decided to go for the job while driving to work one day after hearing a radio announcement about the Erie Bureau of Fire recruiting new firefighter candidates. They were looking for women and minorities to apply. It was perfect. I signed up front right away. Michelle successfully completed her candidate testing and was hired in 2010, becoming Erie's first Black female firefighter. She made more history in August when, after returning from an overseas deployment with the United States Air Force Reserves, she learned that she had received a lieutenant's position that she had tested for, becoming the city's becoming the city fire bureau's first Black female officer. It's like a tongue twister over here, but she's doing well, and so congratulations to her. That's happening. Let me just make sure that I click that out of there. Check again to see. The Root. I love the articles from the Root. Hi, Mark Holly. I see you. I'm gonna email you a little later to send you some information to print so you can talk to him. He has a job for you. Joe Biden wouldn't be the next president if not for Defund the Police by Michael Harriot, another great writer from the from the Root. In the beginning. I love the writing of this organization. In the beginning, God took 6 days to create the earth, all of the animals and humans. Adam and Eve, the original Michelle and Barack, were living the life, running around butt naked until Lucifer, an incredibly talented choir director, ruined everything by convincing Eve to serve Adam a tainted fruit salad. That's why people die. In West Africa, it was all's fault. After onWURD created the universe, she only needed 4 days, though. The monkey all started bragging to all the animals that he knew how to make things too, but all couldn't quite figure out how to do the breath of life part, so onWURD gave him a bowl of oatmeal with the seed of death in it, and that is why people die. In Egypt, the serpent, Apep, embodied chaos and was the enemy of Ma'at. Among the Iroquois, everything is Flint's fault. Gargamel was the enemy of the Smurfs. Darth Vader was the head enforcer of the Galactic Empire. In these various mythological universes, none of these entities are necessarily evil. Satan was originally an angel, all was just a monkey, and all Darth Vader wanted to do was please his father. They are just characters in fantastic parables that explains why bad things happen. Ultimately, these unseen scapegoats are all placeholders for the shortcomings of actual humans who live and breathe. But because we're humans, we need a reason. And in the Democratic Party, defund the police ruins everything. In the creation myth of President-elect Joseph R. Biden, political pundits have created an antagonist out of whole cloth to explain how down-ballot Democrats were decimated in the 2020 election. Just like their Republican counterparts have offered baseless claims of widespread voter fraud, wound-licking moderate Democrats have insinuated, or in some cases downright enunciated, the absolutely false notion that aspirational progressive proposals like Medicare for all, taxing the wealthy, and expanding the Supreme Court played a large part in sinking mainstream candidates. None of these movements have taken a hit like defund the police. Barack Obama called it a snappy slogan explaining, "You lost a big audience the minute you say it," which makes it a lot less likely that you're actually going to get the changes you want done. Biden doubled down on this idiotic conclusion during a meeting with civil rights leaders, insisting that's how Republicans beat the living hell out of us. I could go on an extended rant about how the idea of moderating one's message in the hope of appealing to white moderates will always be an exercise in futility, but I already did that. The Fund the Police activists have already done that. Martin Luther King Jr. has already done that. Jesus F. Christ already did that. The widespread opposition to asserting the value of our lives should not be a not-so-subtle indication that it is impossible to craft a sequence of words that will convince people who profit from the status quo to overturn the system that benefits them. But aside from the fact that there's no actual proof of this stupid, historically disproven argument, there is a more important point that many people overlook in this debate. It is not just factually incorrect, the exact opposite is true. And he's absolutely right. Joe Biden didn't get elected president because he somehow convinced black voters that he was our savior. He was elected because the very same people who began the defund the police movement helped I can't read this. This guy, the writing, helped his body across the finish line. The activists, protesters, and citizens who flooded streets across the nation in the wake of the killings of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor didn't just buy Sharpies, make a few signs, and march in circles. They actually organized voters with the intention of affecting electoral politics and institutional policy. These newly activated Americans not only voted for Joe Biden, they are actually the only reason he won. That's not a hypothesis either. Everyone acknowledges the record black turnout in the 2020 election without mentioning where those black voters came from. There was no door-to-door campaigning, and because of the pandemic, Biden couldn't walk into black churches or trudge into a barbershop. Who turned out all these voters? Was it Maat, Zeus, Papa Smurf? Washington Post exit polling data shows that Biden's biggest margin of victory was among voters for whom racial inequality was their biggest issue. The coronavirus pandemic, healthcare, and economy weren't even close seconds. NBC News polls showed the same thing. A Morning Consult poll showed that 74% of Biden voters said that reducing racial inequalities in criminal justice and policing was an important factor in why they voted for Biden. Furthermore, according to a Monmouth poll, 71% of Americans say the Black Lives Matter movement brought attention to real racial disparities in American society. In 2016, that same poll showed that only 58% of Americans agreed with that statement. So what the writer is essentially saying was, if black folks didn't take to the streets with their young white friends and white allies who wanted to try and help, Joe Biden would not be the president of these United States today. And he's absolutely right. Everywhere that I had gone, people were turning folks out to vote. Are you registered to vote? We've got to do something different here, right? Perhaps he said here, again, the writer is saying, but perhaps Joe Biden and the mealy-mouthed moderates are correct when they say that regular Americans don't understand the phrase defund the police movement, so allow me to explain. Substantively, there are many mechanisms to fight police brutality. Local officials can reduce the funding that allow local departments to militarize their forces. Federal laws can't do much except standardize the policing and threaten to reduce the money to agencies that flout these laws. Cities can use financial means to force police unions to the table. Studies show that over-policing produces more resistance over time, and that removing police officers can actually reduce incidents of brutality. The most ambitious people want to dismantle police departments altogether and reimagine policing with a combination of criminal investigators, traffic regulators, mental health officials, and community-oriented crime stopping. All of these different ideas would require one thing in common: the reduction of taxpayer dollars to law enforcement agencies. If only there was a phrase for that. Trust me, I know one article won't dismantle this false perception, but facts actually matter. I also understand that political narratives often differ from actual reality, but nearly every poll shows that when policies behind defunding police are explained to voters, they support the ideas. Maybe that's what Biden, Obama, and Jim Clyburn were talking about. Perhaps they're right. Maybe people just don't understand what the phrase means. Except there's one thing you should know. But instead of framing this text in my own incendiary words, I will just share the screenshot from the above-mentioned Monmouth poll. When you hear people say, defund the police, do you think most of them really want to get rid of police departments, or do you think most of them want to change the way police departments operate? This was in late June 2020. 18% said get rid of the police is what they hear when they hear defund the police. 77% says change the way police operate, and 5% says they didn't know. So it's just amazing how words matter. He says, read it for yourself. The average voter not only supports the policies behind the movement, but they also understand what the words mean. And according to the data, those are the people who handed Joe Biden the presidency. But did this progressive clarion call cause Democratic candidates to lose House seats? Well, to explain the complex issues, perhaps you should look at the candidates. Of the 12 Democratic incumbents who lost House seats, 9 were in traditionally Republican districts. 2 were embroiled in controversy. Every single Democratic incumbent who lost was serving their first term. No Republican incumbent lost their seat to a Democrat. But according to the Gospel of Joseph, it wasn't the inexperienced candidates running in red districts that cost the party. Defund the police did it. It is also important to note in the 1992 election, when Bill Clinton ousted George H.W. Bush, the last time an incumbent president lost, the Democratic Party lost 9 House seats. Yes, the devil is actually a liar. It is easy to conjure up mythological fantasism on which we can place the Democratic Party's personal failings. In fact, it is arguable that if it wasn't for the activists who support Black Lives Matter and defunding the police, Biden's party wouldn't even have a base. The only weapon progressives have to combat the Republican Party's election interference, disinformation, and white nationalism is Black voters. And it is the people in the streets who motivate Black voters, not the 70-something-year-old white moderates. If Black voters aren't enthused, they will stay home, and Democrats will always lose. Just ask Hillary Clinton. Perhaps instead of blaming the incompetence of the party on a fictional antagonist, perhaps the Democratic leaders should embrace these verifiably popular progressive ideas. Maybe they would win if they pushed for universal health care, student debt relief, and income equality. Instead of chasing white moderates who never ever show up, they should consider aligning themselves with the ideals of the people who actually get them elected. Instead of pretending as if the devil made them lose, maybe they could workshop their own slogan for police reform. Of course, there's one other remedy that could render this entire argument moot. I love it. Actually, defunding the police. He is hilarious. He is hilarious. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is a number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Do you want to help kids in foster care? CASA Youth Advocates is seeking volunteers of color to advocate for the youth they serve. 50% of kids in the Delaware and Chester County foster care system are children of color, yet only 9% of CASA Youth Advocate volunteers are people of color. Children in foster care greatly benefit from advocates who look like and can relate to them. They desperately need more volunteers of color. Visit delcocasa.org for more info. That's www.delcocasa.org.
I'm Councilman Curtis Jones Jr. Right now, the best way to show brotherly love and sisterly affection is by keeping our social distance. If you keep your social distance 6 feet apart at all times, it lessens the chance that I spread the coronavirus to you or that you spread it to me. You must also wear a mask to cover your face. To receive updates about what Philly is doing, text COVID-PHL to 888-777.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I am reading some local and national news, and I just read an article from the Root where they were saying that it was actually, look, we know this, but I don't know why the Democratic Party continues to play this game, that black and brown people, if we had stayed home, Joe Biden would not be the president-elect today. And still we have to consistently have this conversation with them, around why they should give us some credence and start to really listen to the things that we're asking for. Now, it is out here that there's being a consideration for erasing student loan debts up to a certain point. So hopefully that'll make some sense. And we can see that immigration is turning a little bit and changing. So there are things coming. But what we don't want to do, that piece that I wrote, that I read to you all in the very beginning of the show about with strings attached, you don't want to walk into a group of black people and start talking down to them and making them feel like if it wasn't for you that you are their savior. If you're going to be an ally all the way around. And listen, open your ears and close your mouths long enough to hear what people are saying. Megan Thee Stallion surprises fans by giving away $1 million in Bitcoin. I think I have another caller calling in, so I'll wait for them. I don't even know who Megan Thee Stallion is. Oh, my Lord. Black Information Network, written by Ryan Shepard. While Congress is weighing the pros and cons of $600 and $1,200 checks, Megan Thee Stallion, and forgive my old self because I don't even know who that is supplying fans with a stimulus package of her own. In a surprise move, the Houston native tweeted that she would be distributing $1 million in Bitcoin to her fans. I'm giving $1 million in Bitcoin to as many hotties as I can. Oh, Lord. Megan Thee Stallion's 1 million Bitcoin giveaway is the latest gift she has given her fans this holiday season. Oh, so she's an artist. Never heard of her, Mother, you can tell I'm old, right? But she may make sense to somebody else. Prince Harry and Meghan, what are they up to? Let me just make sure. Okay. Prince Harry and Meghan will produce and host podcasts for Spotify, starting with a holiday special. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are getting into podcasting, and Spotify has landed the exclusive streaming rights. Spotify announced Tuesday it has signed a multi-year agreement. Oh, these ads, these pop-up ads. Oh, has signed a multi-year deal with Prince Harry and wife Meghan's newly formed production company, Archwell Audio, to host and produce podcasts on the platform. Terms of the deal were not disclosed. The company's stock jumped 2% Tuesday morning. Now, that's having some power, right? So in a huge grab for Spotify, which has spent the last 2 years heavily investing in podcasting, after making a few acquisitions, Spotify has spent the summer beefing up its exclusive creator list. So far, it has signed such bold-faced names as Joe Rogan, President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, Kim Kardashian West, and TikTok influencer Addison Rae. R12 Audio in partnership. So yeah, so that's a deal that's coming with them. So that's that for that. I do have a guest at let me just make sure. Let me see. Hold on. Because I have the lineup here in front of me. Dr. Joan Henry Fields. Is she on the line yet? Not yet. So she says not. He says not yet. Okay, so let me just go ahead. Associated Press, written by Michael Balsamo today. Outgoing Attorney General William Barr said he saw no reason to appoint a special counsel on potential election fraud or the tax investigation into the son of President-elect Joe Biden. Barr said Monday in his final press conference that the investigation into Hunter Biden Barr said Monday in his final press conference that the investigation into Hunter Biden's financial dealings was being handled responsibly and professionally. I have not seen a reason to appoint a special counsel, and I have no plan to do so before I leave, he said. Barr also told the Associated Press, Megan Thee Stallion. Oh, Michael is sending me who Megan Thee Stallion is. Forgive me, Michael. Mother is old. Barr also told the Associated Press in a previous interview that he had seen no evidence of widespread voting fraud despite President Donald Trump's claims to the contrary. Trump has continued to push baseless claims even after the Electoral College formalized Biden's victory. Trump has been weighing whether to push the Justice Department to appoint a special counsel, which would make it harder for Biden to shut down either investigation, but it's not clear how he would do it without buying from justice officials. Lord, so much going on. Let me see what else to know. Let me see what else to do. So that's done. I'm still waiting for my person to call in, and they have not called in. So call me if you want to, darling. Guys, 215-634-8065. Did I call you darlings? You know I'm tired. All right, let's see what else is going on here. 3 things to know. For them, let's see. Let me see. Court rejects Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, Georgia voters. All right, Michael. The 11th Circuit Court rejected attempts, this was written by the Raw Story, rejected attempts by Senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue to disenfranchise Georgia voters when the state has already gone to the polls. They're still trying. According to the Democratic elections attorney, Mark Elias, and breaking, Joe Biden just took the COVID vaccine. Okay, thank you. According to the Democratic elections attorney, Mark Elias, the court rejected the case Sunday that sued Republican Secretary of State Raffensperger. The claim concerns the signature matching process for absentee ballots. The decision says that the campaigns allege that certain counties has a disproportionately and unprecedentedly low number of absentee ballots that are rejected, which they say may be a result of their signature matching process. They claim this leads to absentee ballots that should be rejected being counted, resulting in the dilution of valid votes. They're still trying. They're still trying. It makes no sense to me. The judge in the case explained that the campaigns have failed to make a strong showing that they have standing to bring their constitutional claims because they have failed to demonstrate that any alleged injury is traceable to and redressable by the state. Accordingly, the campaign's emergency motion for a stay of injunction pending appeal is denied. Oh, Lord, so much going on. Right? So much going on. So much going on. Breaking from the Daily Beast again. They're removing the Robert Lee statue out of the U.S. Capitol. So that's, I believe that they're happening. A state commission has recommended that Virginia's Lee statue be removed from the statutory hall and replaced by a black female civil rights icon. Lord, this should be interesting. I first came to the Commonwealth of Virginia in my early 20s to attend Washington and Lee University Law School in Lexington. Except for a brief stint in the 1990s and working in New Jersey for then Governor Christine Todd Whitman, I have lived here ever since. I have seen a lot change. Over the past 25 years or so, I have watched Virginia transform from a very conservative red state run by conservative Southern white men to a bright blue state now run by moderate and progressive men and women. I have watched African American women assume powerful leadership positions like Virginia's first female majority leader, Charneil Herron. Virginia also has a female Speaker of the House, Ellen Phillips-Corn, who is a Jewish American. Dr. Henry is on the line. But I still wasn't sure if I'd ever seen this. This week, a state commission recommended on a 6-to-1 vote removing one of the 2 statues representing Virginia in the U.S. Capitol Statutory Hall. The State General Assembly ultimately will have to approve 2. One statue of George Washington will stay put, but the other statue, the one that would be removed and replaced with a statue of a civil rights icon, Barbara Johns, that of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Should be fun. Thank you, Mimi. So we have our next guest on the line. So let me pull this up. Dr. Joan Henry Fields. She has a career that has spanned public and private sectors, focusing on transforming lives through skills-building workshops. She has leadership positions with educational and human services organizations in New York, Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Maryland, as well as private sector positions with schools and human services organizations internationally. She is the founder and president of the Women's Entrepreneur Expo, which falls under her organization. This is going to be fun. Oh, and Joan is a native of Jamaica. Weston lives in Maryland. She's married to her husband, Kyle Fields. Well, Joan, are you there? Dr. Joan Henry Fields, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hello. How are you? I'm getting the Jamaicans today. I'm so excited.
Yes. As we would say in Jamaica, what man?
What man? How you doing, stars? It's good stuff. The Jamaican, hold on one second, Joan. The name of the Jamaican artist, Harry Williams, is Eunice Lafate, Lafate. I just interviewed a Jamaican artist in Delaware, and she was so good. So, Dr. Joan, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Lord, it's been a day. As we say in Jamaica, Christmas I come, we want we right? And I've been baking my black cakes and trying to figure out, how we're going to get all of this done, because everybody wants a black cake, and if you've made them, they're a 4-hour process, and it's an expensive proposition. So on tap for it. Yes. So what are we talking about today, Dr. Joan Henry Fields? I like you saying your name.
You like to say my name? Well, the Fields hails from Philadelphia. My husband is from Philadelphia.
Is he? Oh. Tell him we said hello.
I will be sure to pass that message along. Yeah.
All right.
So it is first let me say it is an honor to be on your show today. I'm super excited. I've been watching some of your other shows, and I'm like, I can't wait till my turn.
You weren't shocked that Marvel was just out there doing, Michael said, yay, black cake. They're so hilarious. I've been baking black cakes, Dr. Henry Fields, for so long. I think I'm up to my 23rd black cake now. These people have lost their minds. It's too much.
You make the sorrel as well?
I do make the sorrel, yep. And when COVID hit, I was giving away my recipes, right? Writing my recipes on Facebook, telling them, and the people them tell me, say, they don't just want me to write the recipes, they want me to teach them how to make the food. So
as we would say in Jamaica, them could have bright.
And so and the process began, and I find myself doing all these Zoom conversations, teaching people how to make all these Jamaican foods. But that's neither here or there. Tell us what you and I are talking about today.
Well, today I believe we will be talking about a topic which I happen to know very well that I've been studying for the last 5 years, which is the business success factors of female immigrant entrepreneurs. But as it relates to my study, I was specific. It was specifically done for immigrant female entrepreneurs in Maryland. But there are some similarities no matter which.
Right.
Thing, so yeah.
Right. So what did you find in your study? I'm really intrigued about this because I have found that quite a few of us are entrepreneurs, right? What have you found in your study?
Well, just so for the hearing of the viewers, this study was done on immigrant women entrepreneurs owning a business in Maryland, and it was a very rigorous process. Again, it's a doctorate in business administration with a focus on management. That's what I was completing. And I found things that people, it's not a matter of do they know, but a matter of do they want to acknowledge.
Right.
Yeah, because the studies, and I'm just going to go straight from the studies, so this way it's a peer-reviewed statement that I'm making and not just something that I'm making up.
Okay.
And we found that some of America's leading companies are either founded or co-founded by immigrant entrepreneurs. Granted, it's broad. It says immigrant entrepreneurs, but somewhere along that line, there were women involved in that studies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also found that entrepreneurship among immigrants in the United States remains mostly understudied, which is what has led to my dissertation topic. Because when I first, tried to find the topic that I want to look into, I picked several topics, but nonetheless, this is what I end up with, looking at the success factors of immigrant entrepreneurs. Because, there are several studies that, they would show, when it comes to immigrant entrepreneurship on a whole, but let's narrow it down to women, would show they would either compare the female immigrant entrepreneur with those of the American-born female entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
You may even find where there's a comparison between the immigrant female entrepreneurs and their male counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
You can even find where there may be comparisons between their white counterparts, And to extend on that, many studies on the failures of immigrant businesses, nothing that talks about the success factors. Very little to none, and that is how I was able to even use that as a gap to even complete my dissertation.
Why do you think there's very little to? Why do you think there's very little to none?
You know what? That's a good question because I think that, well, for one, more people need to research it because then and only then the truth is really going to come out. And when we're told one thing, sometimes we hold on to that one thing and take it to our grave when that's not the fact because information is always being updated, so we got to move with the time, okay? For example, let's look at financial literacy. Some sources or people are quick to point out that the women who were turned down by the banks or the financial institution, and may even, of course, look at that as a failure. They weren't given the money that they want because they're an immigrant and all that good stuff. But, one of the things that I discovered through my studies, and mind you, I had a small sample. It was only 10 participants in my studies, right?
Right.
But did you know that 8 out of those 10 women started their business with their own funds?
Yes.
One of them, One of them borrowed a small loan plus the savings they had, and then the other person were given seed money. But the point is, 8 out of 10 were able to start their own businesses from their pockets. See, that's not being highlighted.
And I don't know why, Dr. Jones. I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is because we do it all the time. When I started my business, out of my own pocket, didn't borrow a dime from anybody, right? And worked methodically to get to the place where I am. But there's so many people that believe that they can't do this without borrowing money, right? So what is it that makes female immigrant entrepreneurs, 8 out of 10 of them, start businesses without? What is it? What reason did they give for that? Did they say?
Well, you know what? From what I gather, and this is what I gather from the interviews with them. First of all, they were not afraid of taking risks. Whether it was
shut up, Moshanda. Okay, see now you go. Yeah, that's exactly it. That is exactly it.
They were not afraid to take risks. And as a matter of fact, the simple fact that they pack up from wherever they're coming from, whatever country they come to America, that's a risk taken to begin with. Once you leave your country not knowing where, you know, what you're going to encounter in the other country, that's a risk in itself. You may have to leave your family behind, a business you already have behind. That's already a risk.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right. And so oftentimes I would say, in fact, one of my dearest friends, I would say, why don't you take the risk? She says, you're different. You come from a different place. Taking a risk is easier for you. I was taught to just stay in a job and stay there until I retire. I was like, what now? No, ma'am. You know, and so I had to learn from her perspective where she was coming from, and she had to learn from my perspective that without taking risks, we can't accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. Can you hold on 1 second for me? I need to take a quick break, but I'm looking for this conversation right here. Just got real exciting for me. Hold on 1 second, please. Want to buy black for the holidays? We have got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on wordradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is a number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Buying something from a dealer just sounds a bit, well, put it like this. My cousin Ray Ray got arrested for buying something from a dealer. So why would you want to buy your car from a dealer? Hi, everybody. This is Nick inviting you to buy your next car from Jerry over at Cardex. See, they're not dealers. They're like a car concierge service. They design a car around you. Almost any make. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and get it for you. So use my car concierge, where I've already bought 4 cars. Cardex at 116 East Glenside Avenue in Glenside, Pennsylvania. Check them out online at cardexinc.com. Or call Cardex at 215-886-3230.
Need a new mattress? Stop by to see Julian, the Mattress Man, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure the best prices on name brand mattresses like Sealy Posturepedic. Call 215-424-5550. That's 215-424-5550.
Want the latest in WURD swag? Check out the shop tab on wordradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on wordradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining me, I have on the line Dr. Joan Henry Fields, another Jamaican, who wrote her dissertation on female immigrant entrepreneurs. I'm so excited. I asked Dr. Joan what was the largest reasoning that 8 out of 10 immigrant entrepreneurs started their business without borrowing any money. And she said this: they were not afraid to take risks. This is it. What else did you find, Dr. Joan?
I'm so glad you asked. The next big thing is the mindset.
You know what? Okay, I'm about to do a whole dance in here. Okay, mindset. Everything that I have done. All right, and when you say mindset, what does that mean?
Okay, these women, they had to develop that mindset to win no matter what. Because if you think you're going to start a business without running into roadblocks, you're sadly mistaken. And so these women, they came up against my roadblocks, to include even their own family members. So it was that mindset, that willpower, that persistence, that confidence, that drive. These are all things that they were able to use to move past all the naysayers and all other roadblocks and determine that, yes, I can do this, and I will start my business, and it will be my business. And that's how they were able to move past. That's how they were able to be successful. Again, that's definitely, like I said before, it's a mindset, the willpower, the not afraid of failure, the ability to take risks. These are all contributing factors to their success.
I could hug you because it is everything that you're talking about is exactly how I was able to do. And people kept saying, how are you able to go from this to this to this to this? Because we don't get stuck. That's the other thing. We're not afraid to grow. We're not afraid to pivot and to grow, right? So we don't get stuck in, well, I've been doing this for 450 years. This is what I am known for, you know? And taking risks is as easy as breathing for us, right?
Right.
Let me give you an example. Go ahead. Go ahead, Doctor.
No,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, even myself as an immigrant entrepreneur, right? Female entrepreneur. You mentioned risk and pivoting. I had to do that for 12 years. For 11 years, I've hosted my annual Women's Entrepreneur Expo at a venue. For this year, I had to pivot to an online platform. Did I sit there and cry? I can't do it because it's not the norm. No, you got to be able to take risks. Did I know what I was doing? Absolutely not. But I learned you got to be able to take risks.
Can I share a story with you?
Sure.
In December of 2019, I design just about everything that I wear. And in December of 2019, after critiquing a bunch of fashion shows, award shows, nationally and locally, I called the owner of the Philadelphia Sunday Sun and I said this to her. This is the first time I'm actually going to say this live on the air. I said, Kathy, I want to do a red carpet show. I've never done it before. I want to work a red carpet. I want to go out there with my little microphone. When I tell you never done it before, all I've done is I've seen it on TV, right? I said, I will pay for my way to get there up front. You can reimburse me, da-da-da-da-da. Kathy looked me in the face and said, go ahead. She went to get passes for me to do the NAACP Image Awards in California. Did I say I'd never gone before? I get there, run into all these blocks. They couldn't find my press pass, and I just kept smiling and talking to the lady. I had on this cute little outfit that I had designed. It was fabulous. Everybody else had on black except me and Niamal. And we worked that thing. She not only gave us the press passes, she gave us backstage passes, and she put us in a spot where we were right there by Black Entertainment Television. So we were all over the television that night. In the middle of working the red carpet, one of the people from BET walked over and said, how long have you all been doing this? Because you're wonderful. And we were like, it's our first time. Mal is from South Sudan. I'm from Jamaica. They could not believe it. And when I tell you, when we came back, it literally put the Sunday Sun on the map, right? Because we just kept working the room. People opened up doors. One woman who was a public relations person, she says, I really like you. Rihanna is coming. I'm working with Rihanna. Just go over there. And I walked over and opened my arms of Rihanna, walked into it. And I'm telling you this story because had I said to myself, had I told myself that I couldn't do this because I had never done this before, it is that resilience. It is that being able to look at something that you've never done and take the risk despite what it looks like, you know?
Yes.
And so when you say this, I wish I could have been a part of that study because everything you talk about is everything that I had to deal with to get to this place. And so for me, it is nothing but a chicken win. Ain't nothing to turn around and pivot. You understand what I'm saying? If I say I want to be a nationally known anchor at a major television station, and if I put that in my head and I sit there and you better believe 5, 10, it'll be done, right? It's really about manifesting our thoughts and what we think and what we do, despite what it looks like. And people will tell you you can't and will make you feel that way. And I've watched too many people, Dr. Joan, walk away from what would be so good for them because they believe the imposter syndrome. They believe the things that were said to them, real or imagined. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And to further add to what you're saying, now the almost flip side to that, because we're still on the same path, but some of those people, they are so afraid of taking risks. Some people are so afraid of taking risks that they are the ones standing in their own way. They are their own roadblock. Sometimes people just need to get out of their own way. That's it.
Yes, yes.
Get out of your own way.
Exactly it. And as entrepreneurs, we have to learn to walk away from people like that, right? Because while they're blocking their own way, they're blocking yours too. Because they're waiting for everything to just be perfect to move. And you're saying, I don't see the next step, but if you take the diggity dang step, something will come from it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely, which pretty much was my next point, that folks got to be willing to put in the work.
Yes.
Because you can have the mindset, you can have the willpower, even the confidence, but if you do not put in the work, it's not going to happen just because you want it to happen. You got to put in the work. As with anything, you got to put in the work to make your dreams a reality, to make it successful. And Andrea, can I tell you that it's not going to be easy? Because you know what? If it was easy, then everybody would have
more
been
people would do it.
Work.
Absolutely. More people would do it.
What I normally tell people is that, look, it's not going to be easy. It's doable. You just got to put in the work. In as much as it may not be easy, you just got to remember that it takes both rain and sunshine to build a rainbow, period.
I love that. Takes both rain and sunshine to build a rainbow. You were I can't, it's so funny. I believe nothing happens by accident. And twice today now, I've been motivated and inspired, getting ready to make some really big decisions. And I'm like, here I go again. I just don't know how to sit in a place of comfort. And here you come. You and Miss Eunice have given me just, what you've done in this interview is remind me that everything that brought me to the place where I am today are the very things that will take me to the next place where I'm going. Does that make sense?
Well, let me tell you something real quick. Always remember that some of our best dreams and best moves always happen outside of our comfort zone. Always remember that. Always remember that, sis. Always.
And moves happen outside. I'm taking notes, honey. Moves happen outside. It's so funny. I motivate and inspire people and have these conversations with them all the time because folks will say, how were you able to do this, 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 and this? If there's a will, if you are willing to do the work, there is a way. There are many Sundays, we're in COVID and I want to sit home and watch some Netflix. I have been working my tail feathers off on these projects because I just feel something good coming from them. You know what I mean? And instead of sitting around saying, well, it'll come to me and maybe they'll, nope, not doing any of that. I am behaving as if nobody knows my name, who I am, where I'm from, and that I'm starting from the ground, and I am working as if it's the one thing that I want to get done right now. And it's what I keep saying to people all the time. So for you, once you finish your dissertation, what is the biggest takeaway that you took from this study?
The biggest thing is that you can do anything you set your mind to, period. I mean, I could say a whole lot of other stuff, but that's what it boils down to. Anything you set your mind to, because one of the three theories I used, one of them was mindset theory, and inside that little mindset theory all wrapped in, it comes back to the same answer I'm giving you now. You can do anything you set your mind to. Everything is about a mindset. Your mindset can either make you or break you. You have good positive mindset, you have negative mindset. You just got to choose which mindset you're going to go with.
They want me to post. How can people reach you before I get off the air? Because you're my last interview today. Her name is Dr. Joan Henry Fields. How can they reach you, Dr. Joan?
I am on Facebook at Dr. Joan Henry Fields.
All right. Henry Fields.
And my email for the listeners is I could use joanradioshow@gmail.com.
You have a radio show too?
Actually, I have a program on Facebook. I used to be on Blog Talk Radio, but I pivoted to Facebook only because now you're able to see my guests, and if they have a product, I could actually show it. So I'm on Facebook.
Look at you. You make me so proud. So look, I'm putting your name in the Facebook page so that people can figure out how to find you. What advice do you have for female entrepreneurs, whether they're immigrants or not, today?
Okay, is to find your passion. Find passion in whatever it is that you're doing. Don't just do something because somebody else is doing it and it looks good, or somebody tell you that, oh, that's a great idea. Whatever it is that you decide to do, make sure that it's coming from a place of passion. Because when it comes from a place of passion, then it will more than likely that you will be successful. But when you're doing stuff because somebody else is telling you to do it, or you're doing it because your friend is doing it, that's always, that's a recipe for failure.
Yes.
So be authentically you. Find your passion and execute your passion. That's what I was saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
nobody but God sent you my way today. Be authentically, something I say all the time to people. Be authentically you. Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Joan Henry Fields. I look forward to continuing this conversation with you. You've given us so many nuggets. I have to get off the air in less than a minute, but I want to follow up with this conversation with you again, okay? And congratulations on your dissertation.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the listeners of your program.
Yes, ma'am. Talk to you soon. All right. Wow.
Okay,
everything that I needed to hear came straight out of Dr. Joan Henry Fields' mouth today. Thank you all so much for listening to another episode of The Source. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. Coming up next is Evening Words from Nick Taliaferro. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.
Too